2 or 3.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to council for November 24th. Good morning. We get right down to business. We have a motion to accept the agenda. Moved by Bookner, second by Way. The additions to the agenda. Seeing none, I'll head into closed session. Identify those additions. All those in favor of the agenda then? Opposed, that's carried. Any declaration of carrying interest in the general nature thereof? Seeing none, move right on to the minutes of the October 15th council moved by Pickard, seconded by Gillies. Any errors or missing? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed, that's carried. Moving on to business right in the minutes, CL 62/2024. Moving anything we can raise?
Any question?
Okay, we have a mover for this. Moved by Gill, seconded by Yitma. Any comment or any discussion on the report? Questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed, that's carried. First appointment is Hillsborough Multi-District Multi-Service Center for Community Grants. So Jen, come on up, please. So Jen, just so I don't blow it again, can you pronounce your last name for me?
It's Oldsberry.
Olds?
Yeah, Oldsberry,
So
but
the C is kind of silent.
I would say so, yes.
Yeah, okay.
To anybody who's Hungarian, they can say it much better.
No, okay, then go ahead. We have the material that you sent, so.
Super. Thank you, Mayor Mayberry, and thank you, councilors, for having me here today. My name is Jen Oldsberry. I'm the fundraising and community engagement coordinator with the Multi-Service Center. Thank you for your support last year. The $1,500 went to support volunteer recruitment efforts for our literacy Meals on Wheels programs, the purchase of new literacy materials that help us to stay relevant and up to date for our literacy program, travel expenses for job seekers and also clothing costs, and meal subsidies for seniors who are challenged with making ends meet. Since 1978, the Multi-Service Center has been helping to build a brighter future for all. We provide employment, literacy, and home support services to the members of our community so that they can thrive and embrace their personal independence. We are a registered charity. However, we mix fundraise each year to meet the growing needs of our community. Everyone who comes to our programs and services have individual goals, whether this is meaning to gain meaningful employment, to upgrade their reading and writing skills, or to remain in the comfort of their own home longer. We are here to help. Last year, we supported over 3,000 people from Oxford, Norfolk, and Elgin counties. Of this number, 99 were residents from Southwest Oxford. 33 of them were seniors who received assistance with foot care, housekeeping, transportation, frozen meals on wheels, and our Home at Last program. 36 were learners of our literacy program. These learners can now achieve better opportunities with their jobs, secure Canadian citizenships, or read a bedtime story to their children. The literacy program is a free service for our clients, and it has a ripple effect in shaping future generations to come. Finally, we assisted 30 residents from Southwest Oxford with job searching strategies, resume development, and interview prep. And we also supported 2 businesses from Southwest Oxford with recruitment efforts, apprenticeship, and training supports. This year, our fundraising goal is $60,000, and we are respectfully requesting $1,700, which is based on this number of Southwest Oxford residents served and projected growth for next year. Thank you for your consideration.
Okay, thanks, Jen. Any questions from council? Council Yitman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you. Jen, are you aware, is this program unique within Ontario, or are there a number of different centers similar to the Multi-Service Center? Are you aware of?
We're unique in the sense that we actually have all 3 different programs at our site. There are other services, for example, Meals on Wheels and Woodstock would be through the BON. Literacy services, we are funded through the Ministry of Labor and Immigration for that program. And we're the only provider in our area for literacy services. But if you go to Simcoe, it would be Fanshawe College that holds funds. So yes.
Any other questions? So, I'm just curious, did you say how many of the literary students were from Southwest Oxford?
Yep.
I missed that.
No, that's okay. We have 36 of them that were from Southwest Oxford last year.
36 out of the total says 133. In the report, your impact report,
Oh, okay.
literacy students and
Oh, the grand total, yes, of our entire literacy program that services all 3 counties. 36 were just from Southwest Oxford.
which is a little bit disturbing in my mind that we're, basically what, 30% of all of them
Mm-hmm.
come from Southwest Oxford.
Mm-hmm.
Which is not an area you want to be batting above average in, right?
Mm-hmm.
We might want to, and I'm just wondering if there's any, from your perspective, any reason why it would be in kind of a less than 50 place. Like, is there a?
Yeah, I met with our literacy team yesterday to understand what the growth is, because based on our numbers last year presented to the group, it stayed above par. So very comparable.
Yep.
Obviously, through the drastic growth in Tillsonburg area, we see population growth. So we also see our numbers and our services grow as well. I can't speak to, people come to us for many different reasons. Whether it's to upgrade their reading and writing skills, it could be math skills, it could be digital literacy, we offer that as well. So it could be seniors, it could be general population adults. I guess everybody comes to us for a different reason. And we do work with other community organizations to partner with them to invite people into our program so that we can help the entire community. I'm sorry if I didn't get it.
No, I guess
Yeah.
my concern, kind of what I remembered from previous years was that we seem to have a higher than average, considerably higher than average. If you look at 3 counties and Tillsonburg and look at sort of population served West Oxford for literacy is way higher than anybody else. And so, understanding the reason for that, and while, you could suggest, well, it might have something to do with particular groups in the community. I'm not sure that it does, because they tend to be able to speak English as well as I do.
There are the pockets of population, for example, the low German population. We do receive a lot of residents come to us looking to upgrade their reading and writing skills. I can speak to historically, the program was started in 1986 when there was a provincial review of our English and reading writing skills, and we were below the provincial average. So that's why the multi-service center started the literacy program to meet the needs of the community. And it continues to be well received by the community and a much needed support for the community.
Okay, thanks very much for that. Any other questions? Councilor Whitaker.
Getting back to the 36 literacy people from Southwest Oxford, what's the average age offhand? Like,
it's always we do intakes with all of our clients to understand their personal goals and ages. I can't say exactly, but I do know that we do support, it's just general population, and we have had success with our seniors drop-in, which is digital literacy classes. So it would be adult to senior.
okay.
Good. Any other questions? Seeing none, thanks for the work you've done over the years for people in Southwest Oxford and the whole community, of course. And we haven't started the budget process, but I'm sure that by next week we will actually have a budget book to be looking at. So hopefully before the end of the year, you'll have an answer from when we get the budget done.
Wonderful, thank you.
Okay, thanks very much. Have a great day. Mr. Shona, you're next for 4-H.
She is. Sorry,
Well, we don't have to pay more for formality.
I have nothing prepared. Okay, so I just wanted to pass these out to everybody, and if I can get the to. So thank you very much for your donations in the past. We greatly appreciate that. We're trying to make Oxford grow in 4-H. Okay, so who here has taken 4-H? So earlier this year, we created the postcard, and if you'll check out the QR code, you can check that out to see what's on the 4-H Ontario website for Oxford 4-H. It lists all the activities. I try to keep it up to date on a weekly basis to see what clubs are happening. So in Southwest Oxford, you've got the Swine Club. You got the Swine Club as leader is John DeBruin. You got the Mount Elgin 4-H Club. You've got dairy members, beef members, you've got other members that are coming from other townships to come down to Mount Elgin Club, and there's lots of things happening, but we're trying to promote 4-H. We're trying to get more members, especially down in this area, okay? We want to grow 4-H. We used to have a club in Tillsonburg. We want to have more, okay? The Oxford Center Club had disbanded or folded a few years ago, and it has actually started up again this year. So we're so happy with that. Of course, comes with trying to promote 4-H involves getting materials. So we had the postcard, we got a backdrop last year with the funding that we did last year. So we've had that, we got that made, and it was at the Woodstock Fair, Tavistock Fair, and it'll be at our awards night coming up November the 22nd in Embro. What else? So we want to get new signs. And so the new signs would have 4-H club meeting here with the 4-H logo on it and our email address. We thought this was a good promotional tool so that families that are coming to different meetings, because especially with the swine, dairy, beef, you know, they all go to different locations all over the county. And so this way it's promoting to the families when they're driving their members to get to the right site. And also when you're driving past, it's like, oh, they're having a 4-H meeting there tonight, you know? And so it's good advertising, like, oh, 4-H is happening here, you know, in this county or whatever. You know, we've got other things we want to do, our pop-up banner with the pictures of kids doing things, Pop the Spring. And so it's, we have to replace it. And so we're looking for funding to, you know, create that too as well. And we have been doing volunteer recruitment fairs. We've been doing the Woodstock Rec and Leisure recruitment fair with the members. We try and get out as much as possible to promote 4-H. And so promoting it, we have increased our membership a little bit this year, not a whole lot, but we did it a little bit. With COVID, it hit a lot harder. It hit hard with everything. I'm going to go with that. It hit hard with everything, you know, including the Pancake House. You know, this year we didn't have the greatest attendance. We've been doing Jakeman's for like almost, well, class it is 19 years. We'll take away 2 from COVID, but we've been doing it for 19 years, you know. And so things got hit by COVID, and we're really trying hard to promote 4-H. And these postcards, I think, are helping. I've had a lot of inquiries. Our Cloverbud 6 to 8-year-olds, they are, I would love to have 2 clubs, because I have to say no once it becomes after 20. And we just need more volunteers to say, hey, you know what, I can help out. You don't have to help out at every meeting. But we do need help to do the meetings. And you don't have to have a member. And I'm involved with the Cloverbuds, and I don't have kids in the Cloverbud program. I don't have kids in the program at all, other than some grandchildren. But But, you know, it's getting out and getting helping and things like that. And if we can get the clover buds in, then we've got actually 8 of them that are graduating into the regular 4-H program this year. You know, so I've got 8 empty spots, you think? No, I don't. I have 1 left because I have siblings and I have other inquiries for this fall. I want to join the clover buds next year. So I am already starting looking for volunteers for the clover bud program to start a second club. So I appreciate the work you have. We also have Show Your 4-H Colors Day, which is, anybody know that date? It's tomorrow. It's tomorrow. So wear green, wear a 4-H pin, and I have some pins for everybody, so that at least you can say, well, you know what I can wear? I can wear the logo tomorrow. And so I'll pass. 5, 6. Okay, so I appreciate if you can promote 4-H as much as possible. And check out the QR code if you haven't already done so on your phone there. And if you're not sure, I'm assuming you know, but I do not assume anything. So if you take your camera on your phone and click on the,
These are right there.
oh, did I not give you enough?
Well, there's a lot there.
Oh, there's more. Send one back down here because he doesn't have one.
Oh, wow.
No.
Adam's good.
He tried to get away with not having one.
know. Yeah.
So if you take your phone and your camera and point it toward there, you're gonna come to the 4-H Ontario website with the Oxford page, and it's gonna tell you all about what's happening in 4-H.
Might do that after council meeting.
Anybody have any questions? Yes.
Go ahead.
You went over the Jakeman situation pretty quickly there. It's kind of a rumor thing in Sweetbury right now. Are you doing it or not?
No.
You're not?
We're not.
Okay.
It was decided by the Jakens that they would move on to have another organization. It was agreeable, you know.
Okay.
We struggled in the past. They wanted us to come in and do other arts and crafts outside. So with 4-H, we have to have 2 screen volunteers with members. Okay, if we have 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever members outside, we have to have 2 screen volunteers. Okay, inside, we have to have 2 screen volunteers. Okay, so that eliminates the things. They also asked us to bring in animals. For us to bring in animals, yeah, we can bring in the dog, the cat, the horse, the pony, the calf, everything else. Those are generally not have rabies shots. Okay, or maybe the cats and dogs do, but you know, your petting animals don't normally have rabies shots off the regular farm. Okay, with public health regulations, you are required to have animals that have rabies vaccinations. And when you don't, you have to double fence them, so you can't have petting. Okay, so there are things that we have to follow with health regulations, if you're not aware of these things that are happening.
That's more of an answer that I need, but.
Okay, but yeah, just so you know, like, it's not as though we didn't want to.
No,
like,
yes.
we're trying to work with them, but you know, like things like this, like, and those things that they had questioned, can we do this, you know? And I explained, and so it's difficult for us to come up with that many more volunteers. So regularly in a Jakeman's, we have 12 to 14 people working inside for the pancake serving. Okay. So it starts to become challenging when you want more outside to do activities, you know.
Good. Okay, thank you very much. Any other questions? Being none, as I said before,
Okay.
4-H in my mind is all about developing leaders for tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I think that boys and Chris work for it, so we look forward to finishing the budget process, and we'll let you know.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank
Beautiful.
There is. Jason, we're looking for Ingersoll Minor Hockey, so come on out.
Thank you, worship and councilors. Appreciate you taking the time to let me come forward this year. I apologize, last year it didn't seem to work that I can get down here or somebody from our association. As in the past, you guys have donated or granted us funding to help in different costs. Again, this year, we're asking for the same sort of support. The This year, right now, we have 241 kids registered with Ingersoll Minor Hockey. Out of those 241, we have 23. That was about backward. So out of those 23 kids, 70% of them are from our junior level. So from anywhere from U11 down to U4 or 5. And what we're asking for again this year is for funding to help for equipment, try and keep the cost as low as possible. For new families that are starting to get into hockey, whether it be boys or girls. We're still rebounding from the COVID years. And our growth has gone up this year as opposed to last year, for the number of registered participants. The funding, like I said, would be to keep costs down, purchase equipment, any type of items that we would need to help prosper our organization each year.
Thanks, Jason. Any questions from council on this? Go ahead, Councilor West.
I believe 2 years ago, I can't remember, it was Ingersoll Minor Hockey or Tilton Minor Hockey. We were talking about an amalgamation.
Yeah.
That happened, and how's it, is
So
it working out as
to
planned?
be honest, it's working out really well.
Okay,
It's giving the kids, so you have Tiltonburg, Ingersoll, now you have the Oxford Minor Hockey. Says Oxford oversees to a degree both associations at the competitive level, which is the rep hockey level. And it's working out really good for the kids that want to play rep. And it still allows us to offer the kids that don't want to travel or feel that they're not capable of playing rep to have a spot to go back to their home association. Like for the number of kids that we have this year at 241, I'm impressed. Our younger age groups are growing, and even is a surprise to myself. Our U18 and U15 groups are larger numbers than what I was expecting. Like we have 2 teams this year at U18 in Ingersoll and 2 teams in U15. And then prior to that, last year, we had 1 of each. So we have kids coming back now playing hockey. Some want to play rep, some don't. But the amalgamation was the best thing to do for kids to want to continue to play rep.
second question, if I may.
Yeah.
What's the cost difference in registration between rep and just, I used to call it house league or whatever?
We call it local league. It's
Local league.
A lot of kids don't like house league.
Okay.
So, local league, like our high end cost for the older age groups, because the game lengths are longer, you have to have 3 or 4 officials. They're looking around $750 a year registration. If you go to rep, you're looking at anywhere from $1,500 to $2,100, I think. Yeah. The rep is a different scenario, whereas like the kids there they purchase their jerseys, whereas the association back at local league, we're buying the jerseys for the players. And then we continue to use them after, like we'll swap them out after 5 years when we have to replace a set. Whereas the rep is more of a, well, time in. It's,
Yep.
So.
Thank you.
Any other questions from council?
You mentioned at one point, and I've kind of forgotten already, how many Southwest Oxford players do you have?
Yeah, we have 23 this year right now.
That's what I thought you said.
Yeah.
And then do you also pursue corporate sponsorships?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
We try, and to be honest, it's getting tougher and tougher now because of the fact that we do have Seth Oxford program. So like some of our sponsors that we've had for years are still with us, but then some sponsors have moved on because their kids are not playing rep. So it's just one of those situations. So then we have to try and find a new corporate sponsor.
Any other questions? Well, thanks, Jason. I noticed that we're about 10% of the people playing hockey.
Yep.
And we're somewhere close to 10% of what you're looking for in sponsorships and donations. So it seems like a pretty fair fair number to bring forward, so thanks very much.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
And best of luck with hockey.
It's ongoing.
It's good for the kids.
Yeah, well, right now, especially with the growth within the area here. And Ingersoll, like, we're hoping the numbers are gonna keep growing, so, especially at the other ages.
Good.
So, thank you.
Thanks very much, and as I said before, we'll let you know before the end of the year, we hope. So,
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
thanks. I'm guessing we're looking at Big Brothers Big Sisters.
Thank you, your worship and counselors, for having us. I'm Kristen, the executive director of Big Brothers Big Sisters. And I'll let you introduce yourself.
My name is Nicole Claire and I'm the Fund Development Manager for Big Brothers Big Sisters of Oxford.
I had lost my voice for a week and it's still not completely back. So Nicole has been lovely in helping me in case I lose my voice again or to give it. Thank you so much for allowing us to be here today to talk about our organization. Thank you for being such a supportive partner these last years. We're currently seeking $4,000 in funding from Southwest Oxford to support the programs and the children and youth here in the community. Since our application, where we note that we have directly helped 24 young people in Southwest Oxford State have started 24 new matches. We've actually increased that by 2, matching 1 more in a one-on-one big sister relationship and 1 in a group program. And we are also, based on intake, looking at adding a few more to our wait list that will be available to take part in our group programs and matched.
So on average, you've provided $150 per child in Southwest Oxford, subsidizing the average of $1,000 per child that it costs annually to support. For that investment in the young population in Southwest Oxford, the outcomes are showing that 95% of young people feel their mentor pushes them to be better. 100% of young people feel their mentor helps them make new connections and expands their perspectives. 100% of young people feel their mentor shows them that they matter. 89% of young people feel that their mentor helps them set and complete tasks and goals. And 100% of young people feel that their mentor treats them with respect and listens to their ideas.
One of the other things that we track is developmental assets. And these assets there's 40 of them. And by the Search Institute, it really shows what assets kids need to develop to help them become more resilient and stronger as they age and become adult. So we're pleased to see positive growth in the number of developmental assets in young people in Southwest Oxford, specifically in the areas of boundaries and expectations, positive and constructive use of time, positive values, social competencies, so feeling positive about themselves, being able to make connections and friends, and then positive identity. Work is still needed though. We're seeing the vast majority of young people we are working with in Southwest Oxford having 4 or more adverse childhood experiences in order to mitigate those risks that are associated with those ages, because we can't change the fact that they've experienced them. Programs like ours are necessary. It buffers the impacts that those adverse experiences have on kids, and it gives them a better chance of realizing their full potential and not focusing on negative things that may have happened.
So we really are a data-driven, professionally supported social service agency, despite what our name might suggest. And yet we receive no ongoing core funding. Every dollar that we spend, we must raise each year. So we're asking for approximately a 10% investment in the money that we invest into the lives of young people here in Southwest Oxford annually.
Okay, thanks very much. Questions from council? Comments? Go ahead, Councillor Gill.
I'll just make a comment through you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you guys for everything you do for our community and within our township. I did attend your Halloween event. I thought it was well done and a good time had by all. That was everybody there. So I appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any others? Go ahead, Councilor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You referenced adverse childhood experiences. Could you give an example of something like that?
Yeah, so they could have experienced social isolation. That one is pretty high, just with COVID happening and things being shut down. Either experiencing or seeing violence in their home, to having a connection with child welfare agencies like CAS, the death of a loved one. It could be refugee status, financial issues in their home, toxic stress, those kinds of things. There's 13 that we track specifically.
Thank you.
And I'm happy to, if you would like more information, I'm happy to send you the work plans.
Anything else? Councilor Perry.
I wanted to ask about the car show, Jack Canadian Tire, is not doing that anymore?
We stopped this year. We had a conversation with Canadian Tire, with the amount of work that went into it, because we used to have a really fulsome committee. And unfortunately, a lot of those people retired or moved away. So it was a lot on the agency itself. So the work that went into it, unfortunately, wasn't worth the return on investment. We had also reached capacity at Canadian Tire, where we weren't able to fit any more cars, and there was talk of us having to try and find a new.
Any other questions? I guess, for Big Brother, Big Sisters, there's really two challenges. The one is pretty standard. It's always about, we need money, right, to operate, and understand that one. The other one is, and I suspect is equally as onerous on you, would be the trying to find mentors.
Yeah.
And just curious, the number of mentors from Southwest Oxford?
We actually, so each of those, except for 4 of them, are from Southwest Oxford. We also have ones from Southwest Oxford that mentor in a different community. So they are doing the SOAR program, which we don't run specifically in Southwest Oxford. So we support kids in Southwest Oxford in that program, but they'll run it in Hiltonburg or in Ingersoll.
So do you have any idea how many volunteers we have or how many mentors we have from Southwest Oxford?
We're about 21.
21.
Yeah.
So if we could get another 21, we'd be where you need to be.
Absolutely.
And since you mentioned wait lists, that was my next thing. Do we have any idea how many young people in Southwest Oxford are on the wait list?
I believe the last time we pulled the data, it was about 8 in Southwest Oxford. Like I said, there are a couple in intake right now, so that number will probably go up a little bit. One of the things that we have been doing specifically for volunteer recruitment is actually, instead of just doing, we have 140 kids on our waitlist in Oxford County. We've been going to each community and saying, this is how many kids that we're looking to support in this community. Can you come and be a mentor? So we've had some success with that as well.
That's kind of where I was going with it, because the clerk is writing this all down.
Yeah.
Taking it all down. Is that if in our communications and anything put out on, whether it be on Facebook, sort of breaking it down to the local community.
Yeah.
People are more, in my mind, more apt to gravitate towards it. Having kind of those local numbers is probably great for others.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just an additional question. Do you do any follow-up work on mentees that have gone through your program and later, once they're outside of the program, levels of success versus those that don't participate in the program? Like, do you have any kind of parameters on that?
We do somewhat. It is voluntary. Once they leave the program, it's up to them if they want to continue. We have an alumni program that we promote with our young people. We definitely have, I would say, out of all of our volunteer intakes every year, about 10 to 13% are people who have gone through the program as mentees themselves. We also have, we try and keep track so we can get those stories of success or challenges that they've had. One I can talk about most recently is we just had a someone join our board. And she actually graduated her match. She was a mentee, graduated her match the year that I joined the agency. She has now decided that she wants to be on the board and support. And she said that she 100% gives her success in her life today to her big sister, and she still has a fantastic relationship with them.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you. We're just nicely getting started into the budget very shortly. And before the end of the year, we'll have, I hope, have it finished, so we'll let you know.
Thank you so much.
Thanks
Thank
for
you
all
very
your
much.
time for the youth and not only Southwest Auckland, but across the county.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
The next one is Adam Grossman, no talk park. Is that the adult or the single?
You get a good one.
Look good. You can.
You're in retreat.
Go ahead, Adam.
Okay, the Hilltop Park, to me, everybody's got the financials here. So we're asking for pretty well the exact same request as last year, minus the landscape grass cutting. You'll see there, we budgeted $1,500 for grass cutting last year, and we just took that right off township. So there's really no change on that. There is, you'll see on the fundraising line, we did budget $750, and we're only at $169, but we're hoping to maybe bring that up a little bit before the end of the year, and then we left that the same for 2025 with $750. So, that's the operating anyway. If there's any questions on that before I go into the capital.
Any questions on Adam's operating?
Go ahead then. Right, so for capital, we did do our 2024 project, which was sidewalks. If you've been up to the park, we did connect the two sidewalks going around the playground. There's a number of people that walk through there. And rather than have to walk through the playground with kids and everything playing now, they can walk around it on the west side of the playground. We do have a spot there for a bench. We incorporated it into the sidewalk. I'd like to get that done at some point in time, maybe this year yet. So for 2025, we'd like, the committee would like to do 2 beach volleyball courts down on the southern portion of the playground. There's been a request from a few people for beach volleyball in the area, and we do have the room for it. Zora did it a couple of years ago, and it's been quite successful. They actually have a league there in Tempsford behind the arena. They go check out their courts and everything, and we do have the room there to make it work. So for very minimal cost, potentially, we could probably get 2 beach volleyball courts. We don't have any in Southwest Oxford now, so we'd like to give it a shot anyway. 2026, the multi-purpose pad, we'd like to put that up in the northwest corner of our park. We still have room there for possible basketball and pickleball. We just used a $25,000 placeholder for now. We'll adjust that, I guess, in 2026. And then we did put the paved parking lot back on for 2027. We had it on initially for 25, but we kicked that down a little bit and left it on for 27. And yeah, that's what the committee has come up with for capital.
Any questions? Councilor Pepper, first.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, what are you gonna do for fundraisers, Adam? Because in the future, you're gonna have to raise 25%, so I just wonder what you're thinking
The
there.
committee does have a few ideas. They want to start doing the similar to that, what Folens does with the pizza thing at Dawson Pizza. We normally do a bottle drive, which is a good fundraiser for them, but they only work for 2-3 hours. Committee works in and they can raise $500-600 just in that amount of time, just bottle driving in Mount Elgin. But yeah, the committee did speak in length of what they need to start doing for different things for fundraising, but the bigger ticket items coming up.
Any other questions? So I'm just curious, why two beach volleyball courts at once? Is it a case of, like, I guess I would have said, well, you put in one and see if there's uptake, if there isn't, and then the other, and then if you're there, does it make more sense to do both at the same time? I'm just curious.
Yeah, if we're gonna do 2, that would be the time to do it. It was the committee's request to do 2. We did talk about 1, and then they did priced up nets and so on. And thought, well, let's just do 2 in case there's possibly of others wanting to start a little league there. I could take it back to the committee and say, hey, we're just doing 1, but that was their request anyway.
I wasn't suggesting doing just one, I just kind of trying to understand why they would have said, let's do two before, kind of a walk before you run. And then the other thing, if it doesn't go, what is the backup plan for the, like, is there another use for the, other than a giant sandbox or cats and dogs?
Yeah, I mean, if it doesn't go and it just grows up weeds, then I guess the county committee would have to talk and possibly just remove the sand right back out and put topsoil back in. Try a different venture. As of right now, that was one of the big requests that we received from the community is to try to be 12 months.
Okay,
It seems to be going well in Zora, I think.
okay. Any other questions? Councilor Wade.
Your playground equipment, how's that rubber matting holding up within the playground area? I noticed one time I was there that it seemed to be cracking around a lot of the posts.
Yeah, I think that's pretty normal, like the stuff around the posts. It looks like it's holding up pretty good. I'm not overly happy with the red coming out of it. So when it went down, it was red. The control was the whole rubber piece, so it's a piece glued together, was red. So when it started to flake off or wear off, you would always have kind of red going through, but it's not. The rubber piece is actually black. So the point is it's hot in the summertime. So, I mean, kids probably shouldn't run around the beer anyway, but that's the only issue that we can come up with. So very minimal. No, it's very, very good.
Any other questions? Do you have money in the budget for the bench on the sidewalk?
Yes. Yes, we did come under
Last
24.
Okay. Good. Any other questions, Brad? Seeing none, if we can get the rest of the budget under control, Adam will be able to help out Park consideration.
Right.
That may depend on things public work.
Oh, okay.
You should start stepping in here. Yep. Okay, so we're gonna jump down now to staff reports. And Howard, you're first. DD 09.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, apologize for being late on these reports. September, I'll just say that we were quickly approaching our budget for the year, 231,000. And October was a busy month for us. And I can't access my report, but I know that we are over our estimated budget and looking very good for the year. I guess that's all I'll say. If there's any questions. Yeah, that's good.
So we got the September report and then the October one came in a little bit later, right? And it's there, I think the numbers say that we're already beyond the amount we expected to collect and get us 300,000. So I'm just curious in October, what were kind of the main drivers? Like,
Well, I'll tell you what happened.
Almost 4 million thinking
What happened in our cloud permit, for some reason, it didn't include the permit fee we got from the en route. So I had to add that later. So it appears as though October was a busier month, but in fact, it's from July, and I just added it to the report. So
okay.
So that's why it looks like it's a lot busier.
Looks like, yeah, quite an extent.
It was nice.
Okay, any other questions, Councilor Becker?
How much of this is agricultural? I don't know off the top of my head, but it's probably close to 50-50 right now because of the en route. That was a big permit for us and a big job. Mount Elgin, the homes that are being built on Mount Elgin are still going on strong, and AHO's almost sold all of the houses in Mount Elgin that they were building. I think they're short 5 right now of all the houses that they did, so that's an ongoing thing. There's been a lot of renovations that part of this as well, but some of the bigger farm buildings add up to a lot as well. So I would say that without having those numbers in front of me, 50-50 is probably a pretty good idea of what we're getting.
Councilor Gillis, you're next.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you to Howard. Do you think that some of the ongoing farm building that's going on now is because of the change of the building code next year, that there's a lot of farm buildings that are being pushed to get started before the end of the year and might slow down perhaps next year?
It's only speculation. I think that maybe people are sort of pushing their permits now because January 1st, a lot of the farm code is going to be part of the building code where it wasn't before, so the restrictions weren't nearly as strong as they're going to be. So that could have been the incentive for them to build them this year. But again, it's just speculation. They don't tell me that.
Any other questions on, this is a September or October report? Seeing none, let's have a motion then on the September building report, moved by Rickard, second by Way. Be it resolved, Council Township took the stuff to receive report BD 2024 from 9 September 2024. Building report is information. Any further discussion on that one? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. And then we move on to the October one, moved by Gillis, second by Yitma. Be it resolved that Council took the stuff for BD 2024, 10 October 2024. Building report is information. Any discussion? All those in favor? It's carried. Since we have a surplus there, I assume that's going to reserves, anything over the budget amount?
Yes.
Unless we have over the budget amount expense, so, okay. So that will go into reserves for the building department for next year. Any surplus, okay. Since you're here, Howard, let's do the drainage report, or did Daniel? You want Daniel? Okay, so then we're gonna move on to fire services quarterly activities report. And Paul, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I just wanted to point out just a couple of things in the report. Projected to be over budget on the firefighter wages. This year by, going by average of about 36,000. I have worked with the treasurer Brooke to kind of get this under wraps because it's been over budget, I guess, for the last few years. So we've come up with a plan to kind of address falling short every year by taking some average numbers over the past and calculations. Other than that, the training, our training officer just submitted a resignation. She's taking a job with the Woodstock Fire effective November the 7th. So I couldn't get it in this report, but, so it's kind of a verbal update. The job has been posted, closes on November the 19th. Plan to do interviews probably the week after and then have someone in place by the 1st of the year again. So in preparation for our recruit class starting in mid-January. And nothing else to add, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, questions from council? Go ahead, Councilor Gillis.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, just a couple cleanups here on the report on page 3 under training. There's a line about the hosted auto extrication training that should be training the trainer, not trainer the training. And the line below it, interdepartment, it should be live fire, not liver fire.
Okay.
As much as our livers are on fire some days. It depends, but other than that, a good report.
Okay, any other questions? So Paul, go up a little bit, any sort of justice to why?
No, we get a lot of motor vehicle collisions, as you can see in the report, and it's just one of those years, I guess. They just keep going up, more travel on the roadways and.
But no more fires than normal.
No, fires seem to be fairly normal. Yeah.
And so, the auto problem is, part of the insurance industry has more to do with distraction than speed. And, so this is a way that those who like to be distracted, get to see their taxi. I'm pretty sure that most of the emergency folks would just as soon not have that call as have it. So, and that's, I guess that's the part that, at one point, fire departments were actually fire departments. Today, they're more auto accident department.
Seems to be more of those other services than fires, yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, anyways, okay, thanks very much. Any other questions for Paul?
This is here in the third quarter of 2024, and you've got April, May and budgets. Yeah. That must be an error.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, sorry.
Sometimes we push people too hard, they actually make one mistake. Anyways, okay, any other questions? Councilor Wright.
The cistern tanks for. Is there, what's the cost difference between, I assume these are fiberglass or plastic tanks you put in there?
Concrete,
Concrete, okay, that's what my questions.
form of concrete.
They're pre-made, are they?
Yes.
Okay, and how big are they?
Well, dimension wise, I'm not sure, but the two combined is about 40,000 gallons.
Okay.
One's a little bit bigger than the other. One's 100,000 liters and the other's 80,000 liters.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, do we have a motion to receive it as information? Moved by Gillis, second by Yetman. Resolved staff report, FD 2024-017, titled Fire Services Quarterly Report, July to September 2024, be received. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That's good. Thanks very much, Paul.
Thank you.
Good luck with the interview.
Thank you.
I guess we got Daniel here. We'll come back and do Daniel's report. Fine. On the strict drain, Daniel.
Thank you. Okay, the purpose of this report is to present the results of the tenders for the strict municipal drain. This work was initiated by a Section 4 petition signed in September of 2019. The outlet for the drain will be into the strict drain wood chip bioreactor, which was completed in mid-October. 3 tenders were received from Banbury Drainage, Dozeland Construction, and Taft Excavating and Rentals. Taft Excavating and Rentals has had a low bid for the project. Taft Excavating and Rentals has not completed any work in the township, however, have successfully completed municipal drain projects with Dietrich Engineering and Huron in Perth County. Dietrich Engineering has reviewed the tenders submitted by Taft Excavating and Rentals and found it in order. Staff recommending that the tender submitted by Taft Excavating and Rentals be accepted for the strict drain 2024.
Okay. Any comments you want to make, Daniel?
No,
It'd be nice to get this one done.
I agree.
It's been hanging around for 5 years.
Yeah.
We expect the construction this fall?
Technically, well, they have it complete by August 2025, so it's hard to say. Their timeline, November 2024 to August 2025, so
Okay.
in that range anyway, but yeah. It'll be completed by next summer, so that's good.
All right, any questions on this? Seeing none, do we have a motion then? Moved by Bookner, second by Gillis, all council township clerk approximately report DD 05-2024, confirmation drain tender for strict drain, municipal drain 2024 as information further the tender submitted by PAS Excavating and Rentals Limited in the amount of $239,599.14 plus HST for the construction of the strict municipal drain 2024 be approved. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thanks very much, Andy.
Thank you.
Okay, now we'll get back here to. The next.
Good morning, everybody. I did submit the written report, which you have in your package there. I won't read through, obviously, the components of that, but I will just touch on some important pieces and give you a sense of where we are as of the start of November. So I do typically start with grounds and building maintenance. The items that really matter to township here is we were able to get the walnut tree down that was identified in our health and safety report from last year. So that came down on a drier day through Hansford. We also did have the air conditioner unit that was part of our capital projects for 2024 completed this past week. That was through Hometown Heating and Cooling. And our members of our volunteer group have helped staff build a maintenance plan for 2025. This involves just components of the building that need attention. And it allows us to kind of prepare for those maintenance tasks as well as some budgeting for that line item. Our other item relating to buildings, obviously, is our ISIP grant, which is ongoing. Right now, we're still working on migrating all of our artifacts out of barn 1, which is the north barn, moving those into barn 2. Our planning committee is still working on getting a number of quotes together that would involve work for the HVAC components that are outlined for that climate control element, as well as the attention that will be needed for the building envelope and the redo of the floor in that other barn. So, you may recall that we, redid the floor in barn two, previously. So, looking ahead to those projects. As far as collections management, we are, as I've indicated, dealing with some backlog donations, loose end donations, and a really constant flow of recent donations. A lot of amazing donors that come back with different batches of artifacts related to their home communities. And so staff has been really busy with dealing with all of those. We also had a large scale donation through the summer that was dealt with through our Canada Summer Jobs employee Izzy Mitchell. This was the Barker donation, which tallied up to over 100 items. You may notice from the notes also that we have been invited to come to the South Alberta Heritage Museum to look at their collection prior to their closure and identify pieces that suit our collection. And so Sydney and I have both been out to that institution to review and collect items that are now being accessioned into our collection. Digitizing and catalog is obviously an ongoing project. This doesn't just involve our catalog, it also involves our reference library at this point. So we're taking old paperwork that relates to our donors and our collection and digitizing that in our Pathmark software. We're continuing to upload images of our artifacts into that software as well. All of our location changes when we're doing these barn migrations are centralized in our Past Perfect software. And then the reference library really takes all of our materials that relate to our communities that aren't part of our artifact collection, and all that material is digitized, scanned in, and put onto our drive. So that allows us to very quickly access materials related to our communities that people might come in and be looking for research requests, etc. So at this point, we have 12,017 records in our catalog and over 21,000 images that relate to our artifacts as well. There's about 40 folders of digitized material for the reference library. So that just gives you a sense of the sheer number of pieces that we have digitized, and that allows us to do our work quite efficiently. The work continues though, because we have to continue building out our records. So if we have 12,000 records, many of those were built off an original card catalog. And sometimes when artifacts were brought in, it might have just been identified as, say, a wedding dress. Typically when museums bring in artifacts, we want to have the whole story, the whole provenance associated with that wedding dress. So our work is ongoing in the sense that some of our staff members are trying to contact original donors retroactively and say, okay, we have this wedding dress in our collection. You dropped it off in 2002. What can you tell us about it? And in some cases that's successful in helping us build up those records. In some cases, obviously the phone numbers have changed, the donors have passed. And so we have to continue to try and contact family members or search for those histories elsewhere. But it is an ongoing project for making sure that our catalog is really robust and detailed. We did have a re-indexing glitch with our software. This was, we were told, a product of an object catalog imbalance that had persisted for over a year. So we did contact Past Perfect to make sure that that could be rectified, and our staff has been informed on how to prevent that in the future. So that's excellent. In terms of social media presence and website content expansions, I did try to give you a sense of the numbers for across different platforms, just the sheer amount of content that's been produced by our staff over the past season. And some of our metrics really indicate just how that growth has happened. So we're reaching about 88,000 people on Facebook over the last period, and about 406,000 visits to our website, which is significantly higher than it was a year ago, 2 years ago. So great growth to see there. Our website, obviously, we developed that out as well. We have a significantly more pages on how to sponsor different programs in the museum, how to participate in our PA Day camps and our summer camps, how to sign up for a hands-on heritage program. So all of that has been added, and the great work has been done by staff to make sure that that's all properly edited and functioning for people to utilize. As far as other promotions, we continue to work with local partners such as JC Graphics for the Village Voice, the Echo, the community calendars from the various communities, Tourism Oxford's page, RODC is looking to promote some of our hands-on heritage programs. Old Autos, Day Tripping, and Oxford Review have all been really helpful for us in making sure that the public is aware of what's going on at the museum. Our summer camp program continued, and we ran that program through July and August as usual for us. We had about 800 of 860 slots filled, which is excellent for that program. We did have some retention issues with our staff employed through Young Canada Works. The program does not stop where we have somebody who leaves our staff. We have to continue on, and so that can sometimes create quite the challenge for senior staff, but it's been brought to the board and we're looking on how to deal with those retention issues in the future. Our summer barbecue was held again this year. Thank you to everybody who purchased tickets and was able to join us for that. We did sell about 209 tickets and it was a very, very rainy day. All of our food stations had to be moved into the barns, but there were only 8 no-shows of that 209 tickets. So it shows just how excited people are to participate in that event. We've also seen significant growth for our speaker series, so much so that we were able to host our first speaker series in our agricultural complex. So those of you who know the barns, and as you know, we've been emptying them out. So we had opportunity to borrow your screen from the township here and projector and host our speaker series for the first time in that larger space. Our education programs have also seen significant growth. This is largely because we've been able to offer some PA day camps through the year, which have all been well attended. We usually open that up for 20 slots for each of those days. The museum is also seeing growing tourism potential. This is through the development of our hands-on heritage programs and the growth of our car shows. We had a busy fall for outreach, including participating with booths at the Embro Fair and Doors Open London. And then we are continuing to strengthen our partnerships, both our newer partnerships and our longstanding ones with Beachville Legion, Park and Rec, Carmoose Quarry, JP Classics, Elgin Oxford, Norfolk, Museum Association, Tourism Oxford, Community Futures Oxford, etc. A lot of great partners too, the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame, Heritage London, Ox on the Run, and Oxford County Archives. So all of those partnerships contribute to us being able to do as much as we do with programming and events. We did recently host a Halloween night for the community as well as a digitization day this past Saturday. Those are both well attended. Our attendance numbers for the year, we have over 4,300 visitors through the door so far. Volunteer program, we've had over 1,200 hours logged this far through volunteers. So that's new volunteers. We have a lot of youth volunteers that have signed on to help with a number of programs, the camp programs and car shows and whatnot. But also we have some very solid and committed volunteers that have been with us for over a decade, and both of those pieces are really important to the museum. Lastly, I just want to mention that the museum has completed its ONCR review. So for those of you who are aware, the act that was put in place for nonprofits has required that we all update our bylaws. That was a massive undertaking for our staff and our volunteers and our board members. And so the board has been able to approve new bylaws and some changes to our articles, and that will go before our Historical Society members on the 12th of November. But yes, we do not have any lawyers on staff, so it was a lot of consultation and a lot of rewrites. But those documents are absolutely essential to us, absolutely guiding documents that help us think about our future operations and our governance pieces. So
Thanks very much, Stephanie. Any questions? I'm not sure that's just because of the report or because of the way you present it. It seems like an incredibly busy place. But so thanks to you and thanks to the board members. Any questions? Go ahead, Councilor Gillis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you. Thanks, Stephanie. Your reports are always very well worded and lots of information there. If information's power, I feel very powerful after reading some of the presentations you always give us. But in saying that, you touched on something here that is later in our docket about Ox on the Run. Just want to hear your comment about working with them in the community and how that's working out with the museum and whether that's a partnership that seems to be working out for us. Because we have something about wanting support for their program later. So just want to hear, I see them at the museum on a regular basis. So just want to hear your thoughts.
yeah, we have really benefited from that partnership. John and Nicole are great to work with. They've come by a number of occasions to help out with our camp program. So it's fun for the camp kids that are there through the summer to have opportunities to see the bookmobile kind of on site for 1 or 2 occasions through the summer. But they've also been hosting their adult craft nights. They've worked with us and consulted with us about having some mini library sessions as well at the museum. So they're participating in that through our program room. And it's really interesting because there's things that they do for outreach that, you know, us at the museum with the brick and mortar and the site, you know, that we have. It's really interesting to see just how they do their programming on the move. And certainly we're able to offer that kind of more day location when they require it, but we love engaging with them on their programming and ideas. I know that they've recently participated in a wonderful conference related to bookmobiles, and they are just so great to work with as colleagues, and both because they help us with our programming and we can also facilitate their ability to have kind of a solid location when they have programming that they don't have on the road, let's say. So yeah, I have nothing but wonderful things to say in terms of our ability to cooperate and work together and add additional, contribute additional resources to each other.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, we don't see a budget here.
No, that will be in upcoming presentation.
Something is maybe the board and don't have a board people, we have one, we don't have the work done.
No, the board members have gotten together, the budget draft is complete, Brooke and George were both there to help out with that, and we have some further input that we're requiring from Zora Township, and then that'll come before council, but I want this presentation, I have enough to fill my 15 minutes here, and we'll fill another 15 if I get it. You get to see me once.
Okay, any other questions, for summary? Okay, good to see you back, thanks for all you've done. Appreciate it. This is alive and well, which is good.
Great, thank you.
Thanks. Hey, Jane, you might as well jump right up if you don't want to try to consider.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for me today. I don't have much to say. Cycles of Life for Supportive Transitional Living began fundraising in 2015, and what we currently are doing is running an outreach table 3 days a week in Woodstock, 1 day in Ingersoll, and 1 day in Tillsonburg. And it's giving out free food, free clothing, free hygiene product, some small appliances like a microwave if they're donated to us. We offer a shoulder to cry on. We offer a safe space where they can come, and if they need someone to talk to right there and then, one of our main volunteer will step aside from the table and help that person. A lot of it, they just need somebody to listen to their story. We started in Ingersoll November 2019 with the table in the downtown gazebo. We were offered a space last January, a year ago, to move into the Masonic Hall. So our volunteers and the people that come to the table are now in out of the elements in Ingersoll. In Tillsonburg, we started there June 3rd, 2021 with warehouse space donated by the McLaughlin family. Upper Deck stepped up to have a place where we can run our table, and the Rotary Club in Tillsonburg stepped up with volunteers. So that is ongoing there. In Woodstock, we were in the Women's Employment Resource Center, but what we were doing did not align with their mandate, so we were asked to move. So we went across the street to Hudson's Furniture Place when it was all under construction. And then we would take our supplies from there and go down to Trumpet Truth because they offered their space for us to run. So now we are in the parking lot of College Ave United Church. We are homeless, but we are continuing to look for a place. I want to give you some numbers of the number of people that we have helped. In Woodstock, our year runs from November 1st to October 31st. So just as the end of this October in Woodstock, we had 21,796 visits to the Woodstock table 3 days a week. In Ingersoll, the 1 day, they had 2,444 visits. In Tilsonburg, we helped 9,159. So that gives us a total of 33,399 visits in total of those tables. And I know a question has come up, are they repeat visits? Well, yes, they are, because rent is so high, people can't afford to buy the groceries that they may need. We will provide yogurts and puddings and canned goods and fresh vegetables and fruit and clothing and the hygiene products. And this comes from donations, but it also, the yogurt and the puddings and that we have to buy. There's different things that we need to purchase in order to carry through the table. So I just divided that number by 50%, and that still leaves us with 16,699 visits throughout the 3 tables. It is increasing. The I only printed off the one for Woodstock. The busiest month was August, and we had 2,221 visits that one month alone. We are getting to be known in the community, and different people do donate a little bit cash as they can. And we do try to be fiscally responsible. We want to be transparent. Anybody can come anytime to the table. There's no registration, there's no asking questions. Who you are, if you want to give us your name, wonderful. It's just a community within a community, because yes, there are repeats, and that's where they get to socialize. We are working on a website. I'm hoping that it'll be up by the middle of the month. I'm better if you ask me questions.
Okay. Any questions from Council Becker?
You do great work. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I know it's volunteer. You don't get any.
It is volunteer board, volunteer.
Volunteers don't get thanked, Mayor Leonos. I want to thank you. That's good. Why aren't you working closer with Operation Sharing?
Okay, we do work in conjunction. If they have supplies that they need to move, they come out to us and we take it. If we have extra, we work with them. There's a new group now called Food Rescue Feeding Oxford. And that is us, Operation Sharing, Southgate Center, Brian Smith with Stitch, Lunch Club, and Seniors in Food Crisis. We all got together in February because of the food insecurity. And so we have formed this group that if there is excess food, we call that group. If they can use it, they take it. If they can't, we reach out to other organizations.
Excellent. Any other questions? Councilor West.
Yeah, how do you deal with food that's been donated that needs to be refrigerated?
We are purchasing the coolers that you can either have cold or warm. So food will go into that. Food currently goes into a cooler with ice packs if it needs to be cooled. A lot of it is donated now and it goes right into freezers. We get from Heart of Cans in St. Thomas, we get a lot of frozen stuff from them. So it's dropped off in the Tilsonburg warehouse where our freezers are.
Thank you. Any other questions? Mary Jane, you see in the in your budget, you have municipalities down for 2,000. I see 1,400 from Woodstock, 1,500 from here. So is there any other municipalities contributing?
Not at this point. I have submitted Tilsonburg, their thing should be out soon, and it's the end of December that you applied for. I think it's Sora doesn't have a community one anymore. the city of Woodstock declined us. And Tim Hortons, Tillsonburg Tim Hortons has chose Cycles of Life for their holiday smile cookie campaign this year, and it starts in 2 weeks. So if anybody would like to decorate cookies at one of the 4 Tim Hortons in Tillsonburg, that would be wonderful. Or if you want to order cookies,
Okay.
so that's part of our fundraising.
Oh, all right. So the budget for 2024, 25, so November 1st, I think it is, so October 31st.
Right.
You're not getting $1,400 from Woodstock?
Woodstock, we asked for $9,000 for this
Oh,
year,
okay.
and that was declined.
Okay, so are you going back to the 1,400? Is that? I'm looking at the budget page and sort of seeing where things are coming from. So.
I cannot answer that, I'm sorry.
All right, no, that's fine. Any other questions? As Councilor Pritchard said, thanks for the work you do. I think the fact that it's kind of no strings attached should remove a lot of stigma for some people. And but you know, you can have the odd person that's going to take advantage of everything. The vast majority of people don't. And I think if we get lost in what is what is the opportunities for something not working the way we wanted it for, solutions, got to do what we got to do. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
And as I said to the other groups, I guess we weren't here, sorry. We'll start on the budget next week, and we hope to know before the end of the year, and you'll know as soon as we can.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks. For your and Trevor doesn't start till 10 minutes, so we've got lots of time. That's great. Okay, Julie says we're having a quick break.
terms of the number of people using the hall. We're booked most weekends straight from October till Christmas, and then we get another influx for Easter that keeps us busy. And we've had the added kind of benefit recently of we've seen a few what we call contract rentals, so regular rentals like ARC, which is a religious group that come in every Sunday. The seniors group that use it on Tuesdays, I believe. It's either Tuesdays or Thursdays, sorry. But it's getting some use in the days where it traditionally has been sitting. So the negative we had this year that if you're looking at our budget there, you'll see a $7,500 donation total for this year. That was from the Cub Scouts. Unfortunately, the Salford Cub Scouts wrapped up and no longer operating. But they did make a donation that we're using to put some benches into the park for people to sit on. That was kind of their wish with some of the money that we had left over. If you look at our capital budget there, we're reducing our amount that we're looking for in grant, mainly because we're seeing that the snow removal and landscaping are no longer our responsibility this year. We're not paying for them separately. We have a number of hall improvements that we're working at doing this year. We expect to see our revenue go up by about 13,000. We expect that we'll be able to fundraise about $5,000. Starting tonight, we have our pork fundraiser. So smoke pork this evening. I hope Valerie has all sold you all tickets and you'll all be there between 5 and 7. So other than that, in terms of other expectations financially, you know, the solar panels, that some years it's, you know, 1,400 years, some years it's almost 3,000. It just depends on the sun. So we always budget kind of low on that and we get surprised. In terms of expenditures, if you go down just a little bit further, oh, sorry, you're on the you're on the 5-year capital plan. Would you like me to move to that? I was talking on the budget.
Sorry, Nicole's running that.
Oh, okay. No problem. Sorry, I have more. You're looking at it right now. I'm looking at the operating budget. I didn't realize. Needing glasses, I can only see here or there. So that's kind of where I'm looking. Hope you have in front of you. When we look at our expenses that we expect over the course of the year, they're pretty standard. It's hard to predict our electricity and our heating bill. It really depends on a number of factors as well as our water systems. There'll be an upgrade that you'll see in the capital plan that we're looking at doing, as well as caretaking has obviously gone up. And a number of expenses have gone, hall maintenance, et cetera. In around the 7,000 is normally budget. Some years we need more, some years less, but that's a good average history for us. And capital projects, yeah, about 6,875. Other than that, it looks like we'd be essentially break even at about $34,361 for the year in terms of expenses revenue. The operating rate we're asking for is about $13,861. Exact on that. We can move over into the capital plan. That will highlight a couple of other things. There has been a small change in terms of the peroxide water system that we're looking at getting done as soon as possible, because we had a number of issues this past year, last Christmas, with the water running dry essentially. So, and also smell of sulfur, that kind of thing. So we're looking at putting in a peroxide water system. We got a quote just this week for 13,000. We thought it would be 7,500, but apparently they have to put in a large holding tank because the flow rate of our well is not enough that it can hold everything, right? Other than drilling a whole new well, which would be a lot more expensive. So not that we have to adjust that, but we expect it to be a little bit higher than that. We want to repair our storage room that is kind of attached. If you're in the hall, you'll see in our main hall to the left, there is a bar. There's also a storage room where we put all our chairs and tables. So that needs some love. It's got peeling paint and the floor is kind of dungy. And the shack, which is our little stand by the ballpark there that stores some ball equipment as well as when we have concerts or fundraisers in the summer, which we did this summer as well as the summer before we had band in. We tend to serve drinks out of there as well as food. It needs a bit of a revamp. It desperately needs new siding and paint, as well as a few other little, I'm sure that there's some other little things that we want to do to make it look nicer. So those are two $10,000 items we're looking at spending. So based on that, we'd be asking for the 75% from the township of approximately 20,000, possibly a little bit more depending on where it's coming. Over the next few years, the things that are possible, we don't know for sure when they'll need to be done. The heating rods in the hall are quite old. I have no idea how old, but very. We're expecting, because we've had some issues with them, they've had to be blown out a couple times. We're expecting at some point in the next 5 years they're going to be replaced. So that could be expensive. We put an estimate in there about 50,000. The ball diamond upgrading and landscaping, it actually got a lot more use this past year than it has in probably 10 years. We had a number of groups that came in and used the ball diamond in the evening in the summer, which is really great to see because it was sitting empty for quite some time. 2027, we've got new floors, our large room in the hallway that includes a shuffleboard and possible pickleball markings put on the floor in the large room. The shuffleboard gets a lot of use from the seniors. They use it on a weekly basis. So we definitely want to get that redone and make sure that it's still usable. The new roof, if needed, put on a cost of $30,000 in 2028. Once again, that's a when needed, but we do know that that roof is quite old. We haven't seen leaks or anything at this point, but we're kind of prepared with what we expect. And then in the 2029, we've got table and chair replacement that we were betting on at that point. However, we broke down and we went and bought a bunch of tables just last week. So actually they got delivered 18 of them yesterday. So we took that out of our own expenses. It was only 4,600, so it wasn't over that $5,000 estimate. So we'll have to basically revise that and say we're not really looking to do the table and chair replacement in 2029. Most likely we'll be replacing a few tables and a few chairs here and there, but we've just got 18.
Okay, thanks very much. Any questions? Not seeing any. Cal, did anything you want to add?
No, I'd just like to say thank you, Trevor. A sincere thank you for being here today and for all the work that you do for Southford Homes.
Thanks, guys. I didn't have any, go ahead, Councillor.
I just wanted to ask about the shed. Was that an estimate or is that a guesstimate?
That's a guesstimate. So that is.
That seems like a lot of money to me, but.
We're planning on redoing it ourselves. Wow. So we're planning on.
You'll do it for a lot less than that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, we got it.
I know contractor, but I don't. The cost is necessarily. Evan was kind of giving us an estimate of what he thought. Because he's a little more handy. So,
depending on what, if you're re-siding it or something, wouldn't be too much, so. I'm just curious, you had mentioned about the peroxide water treatment, and if you're going to, I think you said the quote was 13,000. So in fact, we're probably looking at adding another 4,000 or 5,000 to this.
Yeah, and if need be, we'd be, either pushing back or trying to budget a little bit more on the shack and the storage room where we're getting the peroxide water done, because that is kind of vital for our peak season. So.
And the peroxide water is just peroxide to basically take the heavy, like the iron out of the water. Is that the?
I honestly don't know the whole of it. Yeah, I missed last meeting because I'm just recovering from a cold. It's not COVID. I checked. But I missed last week's meeting where it was discussed and they got a quote. The issues that they have with the water are numerous. So last year was the well basically ran dry. We had it rehabilitated, but the flow rate is still high enough that we're really able to ensure that if we're in a busy season, that we always have water. So doing a holding tank will allow us to be able to do that, as well as the water, even though it's technically safe to drink, it smells very bad. And it's very.
Peroxide should probably deal with that. I'm just wondering, but do you have a carbon filter or a UV light on it?
No, I don't, I'm not positive on the carbon filter, I know we don't have a UV light. I have to double check, so.
I'm just wondering if you're putting in a new, because it isn't on municipal water, if you're putting in a new system. Carbon filter and UV light pretty much makes it as safe as we're gonna get out of any municipal system.
Okay, I'll
leave that up to the water expert.
Yeah, but what WRT came in and gave us an estimate this week and said, this is what we would recommend you do in order to make sure that this doesn't happen. So I don't have the quote yet, I was just told verbally that that's what they were.
Okay, any other questions on this? Seeing none, thanks very much. It's gonna be a tough budget, but hoping on we'll start next week. By the end of the year, we'll have an answer for it. Great. Good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The next is the Durham Center. Hey, do you want to come forward and tell us the good news there?
Where would you like to start? Budget.
You go ahead and start wherever you want. We'll get caught up to this.
Okay, from an income perspective, we're doing quite well. Actually, the hall is being used very frequently, both Saturdays and Sundays. We've increased our revenue by over $2,000 from 4,000 last year to 6,000 is where we're going to end up the year. That's what we expect is going to continue. It seems we have the right price for how our community is using the hall. It's mainly families and things, though we do have one small what you call it?
Oh, the martial arts.
We have some martial arts and stuff being held there on a very frequent basis, which is actually providing us with a steady income. So and our donations and stuff, we're predicting are going to remain the same. We tend to get an uptick when we have a very specific project for the community. Then people tend to donate. When it's just for general coffers, we seem to get less revenues. So we're kind of keeping it the same because we don't have a big project on board for next year. And we're going to work on what we're going to start saving for, asking the community to donate. So that's kind of from an income perspective. Our expenses are pretty much the same. We've taken out the parks and the things that township is now going to cover. We have predicted a slight increase in water just because the hall is being used. We're promoting using the dishwasher and people are starting to use it and we're getting positive feedback about that out there. Our maintenance is, the main things are the pest control, and the general stuff that we have to do to keep it going. Next year, we're gonna have to do some maintenance around the eaves and things. We're getting bats in the basement. So we're catching them with our pest control, but we have to figure out where they're coming in and we have to plug those holes. They're not actually getting into the hall. They're ending up in the basement. So far.
Keep the door closed.
And they're not paying rent, so we really don't want them there. We have included mulch for next year for the park, which is we did it last year and it's about $2,500. So we've included that. Not certain whether that's going to be covered as part of the park budget or not, but we've included it on here in terms of one of our major expenses. And, you know, maintaining the playground equipment, and just the general inspections is our big cost. So we're looking at asking for a grant of $5,070.
Any questions? We'll do the operating and then we'll go ahead with the capital on that. Councillor Craig.
Well, actually, my question touches on the capital as well. I just wanted to ask about repairs and maintenance because you budgeted 5,000 and you didn't spend it. Now you're budgeting 4,000. So then I look at your capital and I see you've got 4,000 in, 5,000 for cupboards. Is that a double entry or?
No, we're looking at in the capital, what we're looking at is refacing the cupboards that are under the stage because we didn't do that as part of the kitchen project.
So what is the 4,000 in your operating?
That's for our pest control, the maintenance of the playground equipment, the general, just the general stuff that we're doing.
Stuff you didn't get done this year.
Yeah, and we didn't get the eaves that we talked about doing this year to get done. And keep putting it off, but we're not gonna be able to.
Any other questions? Okay, let's just go into the 5-year capital plan. You don't mind?
So for 2025, we're just looking at we feel we need a sign. Right now, there's nothing indicating it's the Durham Center Hall. So we think we're at a point that we would like to advertise that is what our building is. So we're looking at having a sign, nothing elaborate and nothing lit or electronic, just something that we can hang on the front of the hall. And then as we already talked about is just refacing the cupboards that are underneath what used to be the stage or the kitchen. When you kind of face our kitchen is beautiful, but the lowers is still the old cabinets and stuff. So we're just gonna tidy that up so that it kind of suits our new kitchen. So really not looking at a lot. We're thinking we can probably do both projects for around 10,000 next year. So trying to just kind of keep things, we've spent a lot of money in the last couple, so we're trying to just keep things very much a simple fact. In 2026, the first phase of insulation, we're looking at insulating the ceilings. We need to get insulation blown up. Right now, the opening is about a 12-foot square. Apparently, they will not blow insulation into, 12-inch square. Apparently, it has to be 24, has to be a 2x2 before anyone will go up and inspect and do anything. So we'll have to get that opened up and then get insulation blowing up in there. We know that there has been some investigating into insulating the walls. Not sure where that was left. We'd like to pursue that in 2027. We've only put in 10. I'm pretty sure that's not going to be enough for 2027 to do anything within the walls. But also hoping there might be some grants available as well to help offset that. So that 2027 number is probably going to be too low. We would like to do additional playground equipment and not necessarily an overall structure, but maybe a cargo net or some balance beams or just some individual things that we can add to what we have. We know that an actual structure like they have in Mount Elgin is above our budget. And probably not necessary for the usage we get in the village, but we would like to enhance what we already have a little bit there. So that 50 is probably high, but I'm guessing we'll have to take from that 50 to add to our insulation project that we'd like to do. And in 2028, we'd like to be able to put in a covered pavilion at some time. Probably not as big as Brownsville. The one in Curry's is a really, really cute pavilion. So something, again, not oversized, but just provide a little bit of shade where we can put our picnic tables so that families can, have their kids in the playground and then just sort of have a sheltered area to sit as well.
All right, any questions then from council? Councilor White.
Yeah, regarding the insulation, are the windows Have they ever been changed or are they still original?
Well,
Or
not
something.
original to the building, no. We did do an energy study and apparently the energy study showed that the windows weren't a problem.
That was gonna be my next question.
Yeah, this is no insulation. Between the cinder block and the lath and plaster, there's nothing in there.
Okay.
So I don't even know, sorry, Pete?
The windows are the strong point of the wall.
Holding it together. So I don't even know. I know it's been suggested either we strap the outside and insulate from the outside, or we pull all the lath and plaster and spray foam and redo the, I don't, like I said, I know they did do some investigating. I didn't see anything like concrete from that. I know they've got little holes up in the top corners and that's as much as I know.
Well, the Energy and Environment Committee has looked at this extensively. We haven't come to any resolution as to what to do. Whatever we do, we know it's gonna be costly. Best results would be to take the wall out and just redo.
From inside.
They probably should do the ceiling and everything at the same time, one big project.
So you don't think we should,
Well, I
Spray
don't know what
insulation.
you should do. That's what I was
oh, we
saying.
don't, so yeah.
I think we should work together on this.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, that cost will. You have to take the walls out. Re-insulate new walls. That's the right way to do it.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, and probably should do the ceiling. You should ask the township to pay for it.
Oh, okay.
That's what I would do. I can't tell you. I think the energy, environment, energy committee should. You should come to a committee. That's my suggestion.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Anything you want to add, Councilor Hickman?
No, other than that, the ceiling in the main hall there is a stamped tin ceiling, originally to the building, and I think we want to try and preserve that through any kind of reconstruction on the inside of the hall, for sure.
Okay. Yeah, I think, to Councilor Pickett's comment, the energy and, committee has been looking at, what's kind of the long term and, what we need to do, and certainly, no insulation in the walls is probably a problem at some point. On the other hand, it's, I think Councilor Pickett moved to, we need to work together, but we don't want to come in and tell you what to do. On the other hand, we don't want you to feel like, we're not paying any attention either, so I think there was a key desire to spend a fair amount of money, washrooms, parking lot, kitchen, all that sort of stuff, to try and bring it up to, kind of today's standard. And, I think insulating it, it is kind of a tough thing when the windows are better than the walls. So, I think, that's one of those things that if we're gonna keep it for the long term, then let's fix it up right and make sure it's safe for the long term. And the community certainly seems to get behind every time they need to do something, the community seems to get there, so.
We have terrific support from the community, like Lorraine said, if we have a major project that the donations do come. If it's just our annual Christmas in the village visit at the end of the month or our barbecue. Yeah, people will donate, but not the same way, like when they know we've got a set project, so, yeah.
Good, same as I told the other groups, we start budget next week. And we hope to be done before the end of the year, so certainly you'll know before the end of the year, whatever we decide.
Okay, perfect.
Okay,
Just,
thanks very much.
can I just ask one question?
Sure, go ahead.
We are looking at the two-tier rental rate. Is that something we can do for January 1? So people of Oxford County would probably remain at the $100. Outside of Oxford County, or outside of Woodstock, Ingersoll, Towson, and Oxford, we would have a higher rate.
We can't do that.
Yeah, so for it's a council decision that want to do it the best as possible.
So historically, we sort of left that in the laps of the committee because you're basically running them all for us, like you're kind of, I wouldn't say contracted service, but you basically do all the work. And, if the question is, how would council view it? I'm sure Council Gitman will be discussing it later today when he brings up his council roundtable. Because I think if you're looking for feedback from council prior to doing something, well, I'm sure that we should give feedback. I probably want to think about it for a minute and do it. But anyway, you want us to provide through Council Gitman some feedback on that idea? And certainly, if you want to do it by the first of the year, you can decide today that you're raising prices tomorrow. So, anybody that's already booked in, I don't think you can, but anybody that isn't.
Yeah, and most, I mean, 95%, 98% are local residents. And there's no problem. They're great. They're accountable for the way they leave the hall. We have had 2 incidents where they are not from the area, not even close, and the hall is not being left anything in acceptable measures. So, yeah, and we're not just creating it because we're trying to discriminate against people outside. There's valid reason why we feel that we need to add a surcharge. Because there's just no accountability when you're not from the area, unfortunately.
Okay.
Okay.
No, fair enough. And again, I would tend to say, if that's what the committee wants to do, council generally is, as far as I can know, has always been fairly supportive of, we don't see the halls as all being kind of one thing. They're all each unique, and that's why it's nice to have a whole board of each committee or at each hall to say, this is what our community wants, needs, or thinks is appropriate.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. I think we're up for the noise bylaw. Is that you, Reverend? Yeah. Is it Eisen? Essen, yeah. Okay. We do have a report here from the clerk. So if you don't mind sitting there for just a second, Julie, anything you wanted to mention in the report?
No, I don't have too much to add. This is just a report to present to council a request that we received for exemption to the township's noise bylaw for the same events that we have considered for the last few years now. I know last year we did address some concerns in relation to parking, and from my understanding, everything went very smoothly last year, and we have not received any comments or concerns in relation to the request.
So, Reverend, is there anything you wanted to add?
Just that I'd like to thank council for letting us do this and go beyond the noise bylaw. The event, there is no electronic music outside at all. Speaking, there's one person that does sing at the Station of the Cross, and that's just a short little tiny song that lasts about 30 seconds. And we have not received any complaints from neighbors at all. The one person that did complain about lots of stuff through COVID has moved away, so we're kind of thankful for that. Anyhow, as far as parking goes, we've done our best to comply with the township's wishes for that. We run the event with Eventbrite, which is a website where you can get your tickets for the event. The tickets are free, the whole event is free, but that has eliminated any parking problems whatsoever. So people are given their particular times to show up, and it just runs exceptionally smooth. So we've had a close to a full parking lot, but it just keeps everybody moving. And so we haven't had any issues. We do notify the OPP what's going on. Last year, they didn't even show. The first year they were there. Notified them last year. They didn't think there was a necessity for them to be there. So we're very thankful for the help that the company's given us the last couple of years, and we do our best to comply with whatever you do.
Okay, thanks very much. I don't think we had any complaints last year either, so.
No.
So, all right, recommendation from staff to council is to authorize the exemption. Questions from council now? Councillor Yitman.
I'm just gonna move to approve.
Excellent. Is there any questions, for Vanessa? Seeing none. Moved by Yitman, seconded by Bugner. Any discussion? So the motion be resolved that the Council of Township Clerk Office receive report CL 2024 noise bylaw exemption request received from Highway Tech Officer Church 584118 Beach Hill Road for information and for the council authorized an exemption to section 3.3 of the township noise bylaw number 49/2021 for the Christmas Bethlehem Walk events taking place Thursday, November 21st to Saturday, November 23rd from 5:30 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. each evening, and further the council provide record to staff notify residents that provided comment related to the request, township enforcement staff and the OPP of the noise by exemption approved by council. Any other discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. So we'll send something out to maybe some of the, are you gonna send something out or just if they've notified you?
We've already notified them of the event, so we're not gonna send approval, we'll just send that to OPP and enforcement staff.
Okay.
And we do send letters to, I hand deliver letters to the immediate neighborhood just to let them know.
Hopefully inviting them to come on.
And we've had a few come.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your kindness and your consideration. Appreciate it.
No problem. So that's it for finance. Okay. David. Okay, so Emmon, you want to look at the table, you wanted to approach council? And go ahead and present it, because we got talked on the phone, and I said, if you want to come to council and have a bit of a discussion. Council obviously can't give you any guidance or direction one way or another. You have to decide for yourself what you want to do, but go ahead and
yeah, well, I just wondering how I can save my business and be legal. And I want to do it the most peaceful way that I can. And so that's basically, I think you basically know what I am. It's a very small sawmill compared to the other sawmills on Denda and the other one on Daniel Road. Just mostly a family operation. I have the odd times I have some part-time help, but yeah, I've got another boy coming out of school next year, so it's kind of just concerned to have work for my kids at home if I can. That's tradition. That's really how the Amish like to, well, I don't know if they all have that same want as I have, but like I would like to see my work with my kids and have them at home. And as far as what's going on, I think you all know. I just would like to run it as legal and peaceful as I can. I mean,
so go ahead, sorry. I understand the point, and I think just to kind of refresh council's memory, the zoning on your property says you may not operate the sawmill in March and April, which means that the intent of the intent of that in the zoning bylaw was to prevent trucks coming and going in March and April, right? So, and your avenue for being able to operate in March and April, forget about trucks, would be to get a zoning bylaw amendment that says you can now operate in March and April. I think that's, okay, so because there's no application in front of council, they can't comment on it, right? They can't prejudge an application they've never seen. That would be inappropriate and probably grounds for having it thrown out. So if somebody wanted to, so we need to be very careful that we're not guiding or giving advice, right? if you want to put in an application, you go ahead. I think would that be a fair assessment that you'd like to be able to operate?
Well, being able to operate is the biggest thing, like, I mean, your kids are there and there's.
I understand that.
It's hard not to operate, you know, the machinery's there, the logs are sitting there and. And it's a nice day and.
May I add something to that? No, not yet. Julie, you wanted to say? I'll get to you next.
I was actually mostly gonna say what you just said, just to remind you that this is a zoning bylaw connected to your property. The only way that we can change it is to consider a new application. So council can't grant an exemption, council can't direct to enforce or not enforce, council can't give any indication of what that outcome might be. That's not a discussion that they can really have until we have an application in front of us and we're going through that process.
So we can't be prejudiced or biased before we start, right? So before the application's started.
So I can't even, ask them if there would be a supportive in it, and like, I mean, it's gonna cost money to do this, and it's like.
Go ahead, Julie.
So what you can do is you can set up a consultation with planning staff. And you can review the entire situation with them and they can provide you some indication of whether or not you receive a positive recommendation in the report to council. As a result of that application, that's probably the only way that at this point you could get them any indication of what direction it may go.
Knowing that council doesn't actually have to pay attention, I didn't have to follow the recommendations. All right, so you wanted to say?
Yeah, I was just gonna say what that is, problem that is caused by not allowing Mr. Miller and his family to work for those 2 months. That's restricted their cash flow for 4 to 5 months. For not working for 2 months, then he's gotta get logged in, he's gotta make his product. And by the time he gets paid for it, he's been out at cash flow for 4 to 5 months every year for the last 5 years. And it's just not feasible to run the sawmill for 7 or 8 months for a year and without a cash flow.
So go ahead, Julie.
And again, I would suggest like that is information that you can bring forward as part of a new zoning application.
So what is my next move to?
So. Just before, I think we need to remember though, that the problem. The reason why there was a zoning restriction. Was not because anybody was upset about the sawmill, it was because council needed some way to prevent logs or lumber going in or out for 2 months. Which also might affect cash flow.
Yes, but as far as the logs.
You can bring them all in pre.
Yeah.
We don't care.
What happened this past spring, we were allowed to bring logs in and full truck going out in January and February. When there was frost in the road, coming out of the road. March and April, if you remember, we had two days in the 20s in March. There was no frost in the road at all, March and April, and we weren't allowed to do anything.
That's right. And the discussion, the rule says, thou shalt not. And that's the way it is. So, not that people don't break the rules, but as far as I'm concerned, if they break the rules, then they should be punished. So, all right. So council is not. I mean, they can if they want. I would advise council not to comment on it. I think Julie's suggestion that if you want to talk to the planning department, and I'm happy to go with you. Because if the planning department gave a positive report, that would tend to probably influence council's decision. The question will always be, how do you prevent trucks from going in and out? And, you know, that's really the problem.
The planning department is in Woodstock, huh?
Yeah.
Would we have to go through a meeting in Woodstock or what?
We could set up a pre-consultation meeting here. Mayor, we could have the mayor, and we can have our planner here as well, and we can all sit down and discuss the situation, what the application might look like.
Because the application is really to amend it, to remove the restriction. I'm assuming your application would be, you're not asking to change anything else, you're just asking that you remove the restriction of no cutting in March and April. The other restrictions which are imposed, I think it's under the traffic act, says can't bring full loads in March and April, except for certain exceptions, which are identified under the traffic act.
And do you have any comment on the set fine agreement? Like there's a set fine agreement that if Mr. Miller, it doesn't say anything about his kids. But it's got Em and Elizabeth Miller on the set fine agreement that if they work, they get an $800 per day fine.
Well,
Can that be scrapped?
no, that applies to the property and it's connected to the zoning bylaw and it's approved by the Attorney General's office. So again, in order to remove that, we would need to amend the bylaw. And it doesn't apply to an individual, it applies to the operation itself and the property.
So. I'm not a betting man, but I think if you've met with the planning department. The real issue here is not, I don't believe, is the time restriction for council. The real issue is the time restriction was put in to prevent another problem, which was trucks on the road when they shouldn't be. And the truckers knowing full well they weren't supposed to be on the road, and they were way overloaded as soon as they put one on.
But have you found out that, like, in the last couple of years, I haven't noticed any log trucks are going into, like, there might have slipped some, you know, in the other sawmills, right? I haven't seen it, but there's probably one that slips in, I haven't noticed it, but I've seen a really reduction in log trucks trying to sneak in, isn't it? You found out, like, they're not, like, there used to be, you know, they're just every day there's some going on, but through March and April, you don't see very much, do you?
There's, throughout the whole township, there's still a lot of rule breakers.
Yeah.
Or speak to anyone's.
But it's not like it's done like it used to be.
Like I said, I can't really speak to what used to be or now, I don't know what. Years past, rule breakers, I know we still have a significant problem working with OPP directly. There's still a significant problem, not just in Southwest Oxford, but county-wide. It's still a really big problem.
I don't know if you know which year that they come in and they pay for using the road. And that's when they really ruined it, that's what John Chatterton's telling me anyways.
Years ago, we used to do that, but the amount of money you need to collect.
Yeah.
And the time wasted repairing roads when there's other work for public works to be doing.
And I guess.
Is just doesn't work for us.
The one year it was really bad and they just ruined it, right? Or, you know.
Well, one of the sawmills certainly did, one of the roads, Zenda Lines, was beat up really bad. That has nothing to do with what we're talking about now. You're looking for direction, which you're not gonna get from council. It's actually your choice whether you put in an application or not. And if you want to, staff have already said they'd be happy to set you up with a kind of before you spend any money and put the application in. If you want to sit down and talk to the planner and see what they're thinking. And getting a new planner.
Yeah, but we could set that meeting up within the next week or so if you'd like to, here at the office.
So I would just come in and talk to them. Yeah, sure.
Give me a call or I can call you and we can set that meeting up.
Okay,
I'll give you my card.
I've got numbers to get a hold of you, what's your name?
I'll give you my card.
Okay.
Cool, yeah, thanks, Nicole. The other thing I would remind you is that this is probably a 2 or 3 month process. So if you want to be, have a decision for 1st of March next year, you might want to do this sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I think that's it's your choice. I think after you met with the planner, you might feel like, you don't pay for that. It's when you actually fill out the application for an amendment that says I can now operate on March and April. that's when you start paying. Okay. Okay. All right, thanks very much for your time. Council, I think we're back to, report PL 63 meeting dates for, 2025. Julie, do you want to add anything to this?
I don't have anything to add. We are not proposing any changes to the regular meeting schedule. However, I would like to bring up the start time of 6:30 PM again. We did agree that we were going to do that for this year only and then revisit when we were looking at the 2025 schedule. So if there's looking for direction and comment from council now on how that's working.
Okay, so, the one thing I was gonna start this meeting is, you know that you're now 50% done your mandate. This is the beginning of the second 50%. This isn't going to impact the new council, this is going to impact this council, so any comments you want to make on the 6:30 start date for those who actually work for a living? Those of us who are a little more flexible in our days and evenings. Is it a hardship or is it? Go ahead, Greg.
I was kind of nervous about it when it was first proposed, be honest, and that's why I wanted to just try it out and see how it went. So far for me, it seems to be working out fine. I know there's some days that, the hustle to get here, to get everything done and be able to get here, but it seems to be working for me for the most part.
Councilor Yitman and Councilor Booker.
I have my son home from university now, and so the two of us work together for the most part. So we're able to cover for each other. We kind of got our chore schedule pretty much down pat, and so it's working out fairly well for me as well.
And Paul?
Yeah, it's working out well. I have no trouble getting here. Being semi-retired, there's enough guys around that I can say, hey, I'm gone. So I appreciate the 6:30 because then we're usually done a little in decent time.
No pushback from, oh, sorry.
Just a question back the other way. Has staff found it beneficial? Is it having an impact or?
Yeah, it is definitely helpful, and especially when we do have some of those longer meetings, we get home a little bit earlier. Yeah, I think we're going well.
So the motion in front of you, or the suggestion in front of you, I guess that will be a motion in a minute. That we stick with 6:30 for the next year. Well,
okay.
Now, do you want to change the procedural bylaw to make it 6:30 from now on? And then we don't have this discussion next year?
So that is what I'm proposing to do, along with some additional amendments to the procedural bylaw by the end of this year. That will come forward, probably first meeting in December.
Okay, so we have a motion for the recommended council meeting dates. Moved by Pickard, seconded by Wade. Resolved that the council of Township of Sussex Office Committee report CL 63/2024/2025. Council meeting dates as information for the council approve the 2025 council meeting date schedule as outlined in the report number CL 63/2024, and further that council provide direction to staff to amend the section 4.1 of the township's procedural bylaw number 41/2020 to provide that evening council meetings begin at 6:30 PM. Any discussion? None, all those in favor? Opposed, that's carried. The next report is TRO 5. Brooke, please.
So this report is to educate council on the results of the appeal for the roll number stated in the report. Council has been adding funds to reserves in anticipation of this outcome. So township will pay the $1.7 million in total. And then we will decrease our final levy this year to county and boards of education for their functions. Any other questions?
Okay, any questions on this? Recognizing you can't ask the nature of who this particular business is. Councilor,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Do we have any other roll numbers in the township that we might be subject to this kind of, yeah, I don't know what you want to call it. Rebate, yeah.
This amount of money, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, or even lesser amounts, like to a significant degree, that's going to affect our annual budget. Okay, thank you.
Dr. Becker.
Brooke, do we have enough money in reserves to cover this?
Yeah.
I know we put money away every year. We got enough.
This decision affects up to 2021. We expect there will be another ongoing appeal for 2022 to 2024. So you will see a reduced amount to transfer to reserves when superintendent.
Good. Councilor Yitman.
This is going to be a process that's in perpetuity.
Not sure.
I would guess it is.
Yeah.
As soon as we come up with a new agreement, then we'll start with the event. So, okay. Any other questions on this? All right, Brooke, maybe you can help me. Why is 2020 in the black and all the rest in red? Does that mean that they owe us tax? So why?
Property changed hands.
No. 2020?
2021, January 1st was 2021 was the boundary.
Yeah.
I have to specifically calculation, but yes.
Okay,
That's
so.
how it worked out for here.
So can you, help me with a couple ones? One is, why would there be a positive for 2020? And then why is there such a discrepancy between 2020, 2009 to 2016, and then 17 and 18 are vastly different. And then 2019, like, that's pre-COVID. They're not using that as a COVID as the, those numbers should be virtually the same unless there was some major construction done that I can't remember. All right, so this is the numbers that have been sent to us by MPAC.
By MT.
Is MT working for us or for them? Yeah. Good. Yeah, I wonder sometimes you can see this. Okay.
Yeah, let me find it.
Okay. And the total amount of reserves, we've been putting, I think, 50,000 a year into reserves for this. Total amount of reserves now is.
So. Tax stabilization.
Yep.
$1.2 basis.
Okay, so we have lots there.
Yeah.
I think historically, quite frankly, if you took 2009 to 2016, first 8 years, those numbers are better than I expected, right? I thought those numbers would be higher. 2017 and 18 is like, it's almost like they're playing catch up somehow. And 2019, I think is too high. That is higher than we anticipated as council. And so 2017, 18, and 19, I'm confused about the 2020 doesn't make sense at all. Because they're not actually saying, we'll give you money back. They do want to give you more. Which is what this tells me. If you can look into those, all right. Don't get in a hurry to write out the check they waited this long. Okay. Any further questions from council? You too, if you have enough money and pay enough taxes, you can hire a company that will fight your taxes for you. And over a period of decades, you might pay for it. Do we have any other questions from council? Seeing none, do we have a motion then? Moved by it, seconded by Buckner, resolved, Council Township report, PR 05/2024, which authorized to write off taxes in the amount of $548,467.35 for the results of the assessment review board decision, rule number 3211-011-020-4140-0000 for tax years 2009 to 2020. Any discussion? Councilor Yip.
Do we have to add in there, subject to a review of the 2017 through 2020 numbers, or? Is that going to, impact anything?
Not gonna impact the result.
This is what they sent us saying, this is what you have to pay.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm just wondering why those numbers were different. The good news is that starting in 21 to 24, we now have 4 more years that we can negotiate or struggle through how much rebate we can provide. But you will look into that before we double check, and if something has been done wrong, we'll make sure we know. So. Okay, and we meet next Tuesday, so we'll know that. Any further on this? All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Discussion items. Discussion Purple Bench project. We're looking for a location. I think council agreed to the Purple Bench is just a location. Any suggestions? Adam, you're looking for a bench, or Paul, you're looking?
Oh, no, that's what I was gonna suggest. There was some comment about a spot for a bench.
Yeah, the Hilltop Park has a spot ready, concrete ready. It sounds like they're looking to do a presentation fairly soon, are they?
They are, yeah, it's available tomorrow to pick up.
Yeah, we'll pick it up tomorrow and it can be installed tomorrow too. Well, if
That's
that's
so. Can we have a motion to, or is there any other suggestions? Not seeing any, motion in to have them installed at Hilltop Park. Moved by Thurston, seconded by Pickard. Any further discussion? You not, all those in favor? Oh, that's good. Let's see. Oh, discussion items. Not sure this is a discussion item since we don't have really any say on it, although we have to approve.
We do, we actually have to
Okay.
pass a resolution to appoint Tracy Litt.
Okay, so for your information, I'm not sure how you describe this as a joint rural OPP board met with 3 applicants for, and we agreed that we agreed previous that each time it would be the hosting municipalities opportunity to appoint somebody. So for the next 2 years, it will be Blenheims, and I think it goes to East Sort of Tavistock, and then to March, us, and anyways, after that would be a 4-year stint. We did interview 3 people. Couple of them were really quite impressive. Like I was actually really quite pleased. It really seemed to kind of know a lot more than I expected somebody. This isn't just kind of a, you know, anybody can apply sort of thing. So, and they ended up choosing this particular person. I think she'll do a great job. So I'm actually quite pleased. We just need a motion to appoint it then.
That's right.
And the motion would be?
But the Council of the Township of Southwest Oxford appoint Tracy Litt to the Oxford OPP Detachment Board 2. That's our current legal name.
Oh,
It might change, but.
all right, we have a mover and a second for that. Moved by Gillis, second by Way. Resolve the Township of Southwest Oxford to appoint Tracy Litt to the Oxford County Oxford OPP Detachment Board 2. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed, that's carried. Okay, we're down to agenda items of correspondence. And that's 97 to 201. We have a motion. Go ahead, Councilor Gillis.
I was thinking about pulling out 198.
198,
or at least discussing it.
okay, so we'll pull out 198. Anything else you want taken out?
That's all I have.
Okay, so the motion would be 197, 199, 200, 201. A motion to note and file. Moved by Pecker, seconded by Buckner, that those 197, 199, 200, 201 be noted and filed. Any discussion? Councillor Yipma.
Mr. Mayor, just wondering if there'd be support in council for supporting 199.
Want to pull it out then?
I think so.
Okay, 199, sorry about that. Mover and seconder, okay with that?
Yep.
All right, so we're doing 197, 200, 201. All those in favor, vote.
Just a clarification on your October 23rd, 2024 report.
Yep.
Item number 2.
Okay.
Council approved OPA and subdivision plan. Subdivision for the west side of the village. Is that referring to the town of Ingersoll?
Sorry, nope. Thanks for catching that. That's Norwich.
Oh, okay.
It was supposed to say to the village of Norwich. I apologize for that.
I had that one highlighted too.
That was my mistake.
Okay, thank you.
Peter and Brugner for note and file. Anything else? Sorry, before we leave 197, 200, 201. Okay. All those in favor of noting file and those 3? Opposed, that's carried. 198, Councillor Gillis, you wanted to say?
Well, I think that this is a project that's worthwhile supporting. I think asking the curator of the museum about it this morning, it's a very positive thing. I think they've had great results when they come out to the museum. I've obviously, because of where I am, I see them at the museum at a regular basis, and I think that's a great spot for them in our village to engage with the people there, the events that are going on, and you know, between the PA days and camps and stuff like that. I think that's what that project was kind of designed to do. And I think that's good for them, not having a library in our community anymore. That kind of brings that kind of back to a degree and helps out. And I think it's good that they're working with the other groups within our township. So I think it's worth them extending this project a little bit longer.
Okay, so you'd be in favor of sending a letter of support?
Yeah.
You have a seconder. Thurston? Let me write the thing. Moved by Gillis, second by Thurston, pass a motion of support for the option 1 extension.
Yes.
Any discussion? I will say in the budget, the library board did put it in the budget for 2025. It was supposed to be a 2-year pilot project, but the pilot project didn't really start till June. So it would have gone to June of 2025. Anyways, the other challenge, and I think the reason they're looking for some support is the other challenge is that this is historic, or over the last year or so, has come out of reserves, and they've taken some levy money. This year they're going to have to take all levy money, and the library board was fully supportive of running it for another year. I think the idea of kind of collaboration and complementing other groups in the community. So the museum, you have both collaboration, but it's also kind of support each other. So it's complementary that way. I think with the other thing I'm actually in support of, obviously bias here. Since there's no pecuniary nature to it. The other thing is that the board has been very clear to them that they are to try and to explore as many different avenues of outreach as they can get to find out which ones work and not to be afraid if something doesn't work. And so we had one particular where they were trying something, clearly was not working. come back and told the board, and the board said, oh, you know, don't worry about it, but nobody was upset that that particular avenue didn't work. Because the other 3 or 4 did. One of them, I think it's exploratory and I like to give it enough time. The board did commit by a year from now to have done a full in-depth evaluation of the whole program. So the extension would be for the library board's understanding is extension is for 1 year. And not till the end of 25, but before it goes in the 26 budget, they would be looking at what is the return on investment of this? And whether it be social, financial, or any further questions or discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed, that's carried. All right, Councillor Yitman, you said 199?
Yeah, I'm not well versed in this at all, but I do know, having read through this report or communication, all social services across the board in Ontario are terribly underfunded. Whether we're talking homelessness, addictions, mental health, all those sorts of things. I read in this communication about families having to give up custody of their children just in the hopes that they might receive better treatment options, which is reprehensible in a first world country as far as I'm concerned. This one hit me pretty hard, I think, when I read through it, and I'd like to send a letter of support.
Moved by Yitman, seconded by Becker. It's I'm letting you write your email or your thing. I think it's kind of interesting because it kind of reminds you of the early 1800s and the Industrial Revolution, and people were so poor that they couldn't keep their own kids, and so would send them off to orphanages and things like that, which weren't necessarily a lot better, but and a couple of other things I've read recently, not here, but other about people saying, that's your kid, but I just can't afford to feed them. And I mean, you can go to the food bank, presentation by Mary Jane this morning, and that sort of stuff. But that's not really a long-term solution to this. So you've got a mover and a seconder. And the motion says,
So resolved that the council of the township of South Saskatchewan provide direction to staff to send a letter of support in relation to agenda report on this item 199 regarding child welfare services sector's need for child welfare services funding.
okay, any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, carried. Down to accounts payable. The mover and second for accounts payable. Moved by Way, second by Whitner. Resolved that the following accounts be approved for payment. Accounts payable for October 13th and November 2nd, $250,900.70. Payroll number 21 general, $53,224.52. Payroll number council, $8,524.58. Number 22 general, $56,001.17, and payroll number 10 fire, $27,040.08 for a grand total of $394,800. Any discussion on any of that? Seeing none, Adam, was the Higgs in line with what you were anticipating? Okay. All right, any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Vote, that's carried. Correspondence items, the motion. Two oh seven. Councillor Yitman.
Wondering about supporting 202, 203, and 205.
Okay, so 202, 203, 205. Let's start with them. Go ahead. Your 202.
Policing costs, well, we saw a slight reduction this year in Southwest Oxford. Typically, we see pretty steady increases across the board. I think our decrease this year was largely due to our boundary adjustments. this was historically a provincial expense and not a municipal expense, and it would help us out considerably if it were to be restored that way.
Okay, just before we go, Brooke, the increase this year for policing will make up for last year, so what is it this year?
178,000.
Pardon?
And 178,000
So 10%? Oh, no, it's more than that, that's 18%. 18%, so if we lost a couple percent last year, 18% this year, don't worry. Councilor Perkins, do you want to comment?
Well, that was my question.
So, any other comments on this? My concern, and thought a fair amount about this one over the weekend, because I fundamentally think the province should pay for it. My concern is that we're gonna end up the same way as we end up in the previous motion around welfare. And if you don't pay for it, you don't have much say, right? And I guess I'm concerned that if you're gonna cut somewhere, is that a pretty easy one to simply cut? And in the end, it's the same taxpayer that pays all of it. So my own, I'm kind of on the other side of the table here. I'm prepared to pay for OPP as long as we have say. If we don't pay, we don't have say. And I'm not convinced that we would see a positive as compared to a negative. It's, and I realize that this is actually taking on property taxes, taking on the responsibility of what really should come out of the social system, like the more of the income tax, personal, rather than property. Well, I would argue that property deserves some policing. So I don't know. I'll leave it up to council. Councilor,
Well, the question I have is, why does the government support Toronto and not the rules? Sort of funding.
Well, as you asked the MPP, which I did the other night, they increased them by 50 million this year, which our increase was, what did we get an increase? 23,000?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
118,000. You're at 100, now you're 19, something like that.
You're at what?
You were at 800,000.
Oh.
Okay, 799 actually.
Okay.
918.
But we don't know what we're getting this year.
Yeah, we do.
In 2025, we're receiving 918.
Is that an increase?
Yeah.
$100,000 increase.
Last couple of years has been 799.
But that answers my question.
So, other questions on this? Go ahead, Councilor.
Well, and I understand your point, you know, about level of control versus, you know, receiving a service from the provincial government. And I wanted to have the discussion here. Not necessarily because I 100% want to send a letter of support for this, but I just wanted to have this discussion among council to see what the council's feeling was on it.
I think the thing that I've been struggling with is, what is the value or potential value of having say in this as compared to the potential savings? So if we're going to spend 1.3 million or whatever this year on policing, that's a lot of money. Is it worth us to have to say, knowing that if I don't pay for it out of my township pocket, I'm paying for it out of my provincial pocket, or I'm not paying for it out of my provincial pocket, and we have even less policing than we have now. Okay. You see Norwich and East Door Tavistock saying, we're willing to pay a couple $100,000 extra just to get a little extra policing. And they pay the same rate we do, right? They use the same formula for them as they do for us. Makes me wonder, where is the right ground here? I'm struggling with it. Go ahead.
So is it possible that, you know, if the province were to reassume this, that in 5 to 10 years' time, we could be right back at square one where they have quote unquote assumed it, but we've hired not enough officers in order to get the level of enforcement that we need here?
I'm not sure you'd be allowed to. That would be the other problem.
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm just speculating. I'm willing to live with whatever council wants to do. Today, I mean, this is one I just don't know the right answer for. So, do we want to support or not? Up to council.
I'll move this and send a letter of support, but I defer to the wisdom of council as well.
Okay, we have a motion, do we have a seconder?
It's not a support yet. Like you said earlier, one way or the other, taxpayers are gonna be paying it, whether it's municipal or provincial. Yeah, I would support the motion.
Okay, so mover and seconder. Any further discussion on it? Seeing none, all those in favor? I want hands up, so I got two. Gillis, your hand is struggling. Okay, motion, what do you call it, defeated? Motion. Not approved.
Well, you know, motion. Yeah.
All right, the next one. Oh, no, I think it was just two that had their hands up, okay. The next one was. Sorry, 203. Councilor, you want to bring that one?
Much along the same lines, just looking for ways that we can alleviate our own budget and return costs back to where thence from which they came. To a large degree, same arguments probably play into this as much as the previous discussion. But when you look and see that the federal government's investment in some of these infrastructure programs hasn't even kept up with the rate of inflation, and we're falling steadily behind. A little reminder that they need to ante up a little bit wouldn't hurt.
And any other comments? Certainly agree on this. This is one where the federal government should be a partner at the table. And years and years and years ago, there used to be a lot of, one third funding. Now there's sporadic funding here and funding over there, and the gas tax is going to help, no question at all, but it's not 1/3. And this one where I think it should be, the feds should be, in fact, for capital projects, contributing their third on certain sections. Now, some years I expect to close, but if you look at a lot of things across the county, 2/3 of all the money going into housing, more than 2/3 of all the money going into housing is coming from Oxford County, and 1/3 is coming from the feds and the province together. They should be paying 2/3, we should pay 1/3. To me, that's the kind of thing that this addresses. I would be fully supportive if we get a second. And your comment was?
It's pretty easy to lose sight of the fact that, we talked about 2% inflation and we're back down and everybody's doing a lot of crowing about the fact that we've got inflation under control. But what I just recently saw a graph indicating, the actual costs of things. It's easy to lose sight of the fact that we've seen a 30% increase in overall costs of most items, be that construction, be that household items, over the past 5 years. And so now we're talking about the 2% that's floating up and down on top of that 30%. So we're definitely behind on that, whether or not inflation's under control. We've just come through a significant price increase across the board. And despite their proclamation of success, the federal government has not kept up with that.
So do you have a seconder? Second by Gillis. Any further discussion on this? All those in favor? Opposed, that's carried. Next one was 205. Counselor, you want to talk about that one?
Well, and this just brings up the issue of safety on rural roads and the need for the province to help out with some of the expenses of maintaining roads and putting in safety measures that would alleviate some of our liability.
So you moving it? Letter of support. You got that one. Okay, you got a second, seconded by Gillis. Any further discussion on this one? Councilor Gillis.
I just kind of thought about this too, that, you know, after, you know, our fire report this morning, like we are seeing more incidences on rural roads. They're not just the major highways. Like there are a lot of traffic on the other roads. A lot of townships gone do a lot of hard work of paving roads. Problem with paving roads, people drive on them more and drive faster. So that can lead to problems. So I think that, you know, I think Good Roads is a pretty good organization to share this or move forward in doing stuff like this. So I think it'd be worth the support.
Okay. Any other discussion?
I just wondered if Adam had any input on this.
Oh, I think it's a positive report, that's for sure. OBR is taking the lead on it. I think it's a good thing, like you say, our accidents and fatalities are definitely up. In my opinion.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, that's carried. We should go. 204 and 26 and 7. The motion to receive, note and file what? Councilor Wade, note and file. So 204, 26 and 27. 27. Any, do we have a seconder? Thurston? Any discussion, Councilor Yetman?
Do we need to include 202 in that since that motion was defeated?
Yes, we do. Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Bylaws and agreements. We have a motion, first and second reading of these. Moved by Gillis, second by Pickard. And the reading will be.
Result of the following bylaws be introduced and that they be read a first and second time. Bylaw number 78, being a bylaw to stop a proposed King Street in Brownsville. Bylaw number 79, being a bylaw to authorize the execution of the subdivision agreement for phase 6 with Mount Ogden Development Inc.
Okay, anything in there, concern? Yeah. There was some, okay, all those in favor of first, second reading? Opposed, that's carried. Third and final reading moved by Bookner, second by Durston. And the bylaw will say.
So that bylaw 78 and 79, 2024 be read a third time and finally passed, and the mayor or the authorized sign and bylaw and fix the public seal.
Okay, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed, that's carried. With no new business, so we move on to the council roundtable. Councilor Pickard, it's no 5.
Not very much. My thing going on is there's an energy or an environment energy meeting tomorrow at 4:30, so that's to people in the front. No, otherwise, as far as work fine, not much going on.
Okay, Ward 2.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Durham Center Hall Board, we heard from them this morning. We met on October the 24th and we did discuss rental rates. I did send a question off through Nicole to Finance Department. And I did respond to our vice chair about that way. Went over the capital projects and finalized our plans for Christmas in the village event. That's coming up on November 30th from 2 until 4. That's Saturday afternoon. Mount Ogden Community Center, we met last week, Monday, October the 28th. Finalized details on a park bench donation from the Salford Scouts Club. The beef dinner that we hosted in September with the Lions Club netted $1,150 for each group. And the trivia night that we had on October the 4th ended up bringing in $2,200 for the community center. So that was a nice little boost there. We approved a new set of rental rates for 2025. And we increased the custodial wage by $1 an hour up to $23 an hour now for next year. So that'll start January 1st. And our next meeting there is November 25th. Mount Elgin Parks and Rec, we had hoped to meet with two potential new members last week, Tuesday. But prior to the meeting, both decided that their time constraints were such that they couldn't participate. So we're still with the two of us. So we conducted a business meeting over the phone and got the pertinent issues taken care of. We're still sourcing basketball clothes for the multi-purpose court. And the painting contract has been awarded for putting lines on the floor, but due to the weather concerns, that may end up being put off until next spring. And I have to take responsibility for that. I was not on the ball to get that done in time this fall. So my apologies to the community for that. LPRCA meets tomorrow night. We have 2 more development hearings. Again, this has been a year that's been full of those, and 2 more appeals to deal with tomorrow night. So look forward to that. And then on a personal note, 2 Saturdays ago, my wife and I were privileged to travel to St. Thomas Hospital and meet our new grandson for the first time. And so Emmett Hayes Penning was born 2 Friday nights ago. Was a difficult process for more than usual for our daughter. And so recovery is going to be a little bit longer than normal for her. But well, Emmett's doing very well. And so yeah, my wife spent the week there last week helping out and doing very well. So we're very thankful.
Congratulations. Well, you have very little to do about those kind of things, but grandfather, your job has just started. Ward 3.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, we've heard from the Hilltop Park Committee today, and thank you very much, Adam. I appreciate what you do with that committee. The action center of Ward 3 is going to be Selford. Selford today for their takeout barbecued smoked pork chop. I say it's slowly because it's a good here. And so since I leave here, I'll be going to Selford. And that's about it for.
And Ward 6.
No, thank you. Ward 6, thank Adam and the crew for taking the fountain out of the pond, again for the winter. Parks and Rec did work in collaboration with the Beachville Legion having our Halloween dance a week ago. I feel it was a big success. The hall had a lot of people. It was pretty full, and there was a lot of people had a lot of fun times, and there was a lot of creative costumes in the area. So that was nice to be seen. And saying that, I forgot to mention at our last meeting, we did have one of our park members was able to get a machine to paint some lines on the basketball court at the Main Road Park in Beachville. It's not completed yet per se, but you know, it was doing time and paint was donated. So we did some this year. Hopefully we'll do put some more lines on it next year. So that's always appreciated. We will have a board meeting at the museum coming up next week on Wednesday, and also on November 16th, if anybody's free to help start put up some of the Christmas lights at the museum. November 16th is the first day, and then if weather's not permitting that day, it'll be the next weekend. We'll be working on outdoor lights there. And also, just want to report I did have to travel there a couple of weeks ago up to Kingston for a funeral. And I did, the human spirit is still alive and well. I ended up having a flat tire, or getting a flat tire as I was traveling, and was able to nurse myself off the road into a tire shop, and I kind of explained the situation, and you know, they hurried up and they fixed it for free for me. I argued with them to pay them, but they said, nope, you get going and whatever. So I appreciated that very much. And it's funny how those sort of things come full circle, because on my way home, there was a person that was having a little bit of a challenge at a restaurant where I couldn't find her card or something like that, and was whatever. And I was able to pay for her dinner that night. So I think that's good that the human spirit is alive and well. And I hope that all of us can remember to, when we have these opportunities, remember to pay it forward. And lastly, remember that now that it's November, also known as Movember. So, you know, when your local friends are growing a lovely mustache and it looks kind of funny at the beginning, don't make fun of them. Say, you're doing a good job, and just wait till the end, okay? That's it.
Duncan Buckner worked pretty well.
Okay, we got, Brownsville, we got the, Christmas craft show coming up, in 2 weeks' time, and, yeah, the fire department, is, putting the bill for planting a live tree. And it'll be done before that night, and they're gonna light it up with, Christmas lights and hot chocolate and stuff like that, so. If you got time to come out and then join in and maybe pick up that Christmas gift that you need for the wife or whatever, or your significant other, I should put it that way, to be politically correct. And the basketball court / pickleball court, the cracks were sealed 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. Can't remember, but that's all done. And Adam is looking to see who is the best artist for the staff, and they're going to paint the lines for the pickleball court so we can be ready for next spring.
Okay, and Ward 4.
Okay, last Thursday, Brooke, myself, Stephanie, and chairman of the board of directors of the museum did do the budget, rough numbers. We had no representation from Dora. So this Friday, Stephanie is going to present it to the treasurer from Zora. They have a new treasurer in Zora, so she's coming to the museum, I believe, on Friday. And then the board of directors will approve it on the 13th, and Stephanie will probably be back here on the 19th to present the budget at our night meeting on the 19th. Last night was our fundraiser, bought some pizza in Woodstock. Our ticket sales were down, but we probably still will make it total $550. So good night, good food. I have a whole board meeting tonight in Fullan's, put up the Christmas decorations. Have a meeting at Upper Thames on Friday, strategic planning meeting. I think that's about it. Yeah, it's been busy, which is fine. Keeps me out of trouble.
Good. Yeah, I didn't have anything else to report. I don't think that wasn't on the council report. One thing that is something in mind now, so we'll leave it. Councilor Pickard, you wanted to say?
Well, I think what slipped your mind is you just celebrated your 50th wedding anniversary.
Oh, that was last week. Old news. You don't want to hear about that. And I was taking them out to college for the weekend, and our anniversary was actually on Saturday, the 26th. And on Friday, I was doing some closing up of the cottage stuff and fell off the step ladder and laid on my back for 2 or 3 days, and I'm still not back being able to walk very well. But so we're interpreting the last 50 years based on the last 4 or 5 days, might be different than it was before. But we had this romantic weekend together. And so anyway, life is. Yeah, he's in for another 50, I am. Okay. Moving to closed session. We have a motion to go into closed session, moved by Pickard, seconded by Woodade. And so the council will close session meeting in order to discuss matter pertaining to personal matters about an individual and a proposed pending acquisition of land by the municipality or local board. Any discussion?